Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos, doggone it. My name is John Boy. It is John Boy time. I am your host, John Francis Fahey. Joining me as ever, the pinnacle of perversion. 3 children in a trench coat stacked on top of each other, disguising themselves as an adult man. Each child, of course, shredded, muscular, huge cocks, veiny, 2 gay, 1 bi. Aaron Joseph Pita.
Hi.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Refreshed by this wonderful seltzer.
You like the seltzer, huh?
Well, it's bubbly.
It's bubbly.
It's effervescent.
It's bubbly like you boys. Couple of
The bubbly boys.
Bubbly boys. Couple of bubbly babies.
How are you?
I'm grand.
100 grand?
I'm grand. I'm grand. That's how the Irish say it. Ah, no, I'm
grand.
grand. Things are grand now, Aaron. Things are doing well. How about yourself?
I'm dying inside, but I'm wearing a happy face. Now, to my right
My left.
is a man,
Good looking son of a bitch.
a buttery voice,
Oh.
as if it was churned by Zeus himself.
Agreed.
Zeus lived to churn butter.
Loved it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Matt Brousseau.
Hi, great
Handsome
to
Matt Brousseau.
be here.
The Frenchman henchman.
Be funny.
John, you must be, out of your mind. Very excited. Cork won the hurling championship for the second year in a row. Last year, first time in 40 years, John.
Yes. The Cork is great.
County Cork.
I remember the first time seeing a hurling match.
Do they
insane. It's
cark
amazing.
the sticks?
No,
Do they cark the hurling
no,
sticks?
they seem to be cut in half to show that they're not carked.
Yeah.
But
There's a catchy side and a smacky side.
Catchy side?
with what they're doing, imagine, Aaron, like a basketball game with you were dribbling like a tennis ball, but you were doing it with basically a baseball bat, and then you're winging it into goal or over the bar or whatever, and like people aren't beating the shit out of each other's faces with sticks. It's like it's in a game that you watch and you're like, this is fucking insanity that people aren't beating like themselves into brain damage.
Yeah, it's bigger than the size of a football field. And you can throw the ball with your hands. It's easier to hit the ball with the stick.
Mm-hmm.
But it's basically like
flat?
lacrosse, but you don't catch the ball as much, and you're just
Sticks flat?
One side,
one side is flat. The other side has a tiny little
a
basket.
little bit of a curve, so you can
Or a little
scoop
curve.
it, kind of. Yeah.
You can catch it.
Like a little high lie?
Well, it's got a little cane at the end.
Like a high lie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is this a...
It's a national Gaelic sport.
Right, it makes sense. The Highlands. These are probably people who were shepherds. That's why they had the hitty stick and the curly part.
Sure, yeah. And then Gaelic football too. You know, there was a thing there where the Croke Park in Dublin. It was the place where just the Gaelic games were held. And after Michael Collins,
I've seen a video called The Gaelic Games.
You're thinking the Gaelic?
Yeah.
Sorry. It's
after Michael Collins assassinated
It's two-parter.
all the British spies in the 20s, the British just sent a tank into Croke Park and was just like, kill, because anybody there is a nationalist. And then so through as time went on and stuff like that, Croke Park would be like, well, it's Gaelic games only. And then the soccer league in Ireland had dwindled. The FIFA stuff had dwindled so much that they were like, can we use this? And eventually Croke Park was like, yeah. So then they now have British games.
Oh.
What's
next?
I know. But yeah, like
women allowed.
The following behind county to county Gaelic sports was really like hyped up when I lived in Ireland. Like I'm sure it still is.
Still is. Yeah, well, because you have to be only people from that place.
Yes,
that's
what I love about it.
Yeah,
that's what I love about it is it's really like
there's a reason for team loyalty.
Well, it's just a true competition of like, well, that town was the best that time,
Right, but it's not like there's trades and like
exactly, yeah.
I mean,
just
it's
a brand. You're not rooting for a brand.
Yes,
it's usually just the biggest counties have the most advantage.
And that's
my criticism of
the same with the Olympics
of sports that Richard Park always quotes is a bunch of millionaires chasing after a ball, playing for cities they're not from,
and billionaires taking all the money.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just like, you can kind of buy your team and stuff like that. So if it's just like, if you're from in this fucking thing, Not you moved there. You know, like if you're from India, like that to me is like, okay,
dude. If you're a guy from Cork, and but like you're just like, man, I just really like dairy. You know, I really like Dairy Girl.
Yeah.
That'd be really funny. That's a diehard guy. It's like, they just play a better game.
Well, then
they just play a better game over there in County Derry.
And the thing was too is that
that's a purist.
Then they'll have the same thing with a town by town basis, and you know how small the Irish towns can be. So you're talking about a real small group of people, and one of the cool things that happened while my grandfather was still alive was he got to see in Croke Park, his hometown, which was like I told you, like 5 streets conjoining, and down one of them is the church, and then it's just a lot of farmland, like a tiny Irish village in West Ireland. Go like and through the entire tournament, battling Irish towns, and get to the final and win. And you got to see his tiny little village, and he was fucking like, I mean, ecstatic. And I was at the game with him. It was so fucking great, you know. But I mean, like, how the fuck long could that tournament go on for? Every tiny village?
Well, there's probably a lot of tiny villages.
There's a lot. Yeah. Fuck yeah, there's a fucking lot.
Oh, so you're saying, yeah, it would go long. Not,
yeah.
Fucking man, organized sports are fascist.
Glad we got that take.
Dude, I love sport. I love sport.
I don't think you really care a fuck about sport.
No,
I don't give a fuck about
I don't give a
team
fuck.
loyalty.
No.
Organized sports are
I'd rather be playing it.
Agreed.
Yeah,
more fun to play than watch.
Don't. Yeah, if I'm wearing a hat, it's because it looks cool.
Yeah, don't get your identity swept up in it.
Yeah, well, there's just so many people that don't have it.
It just means
it's like people like the
if you get your identity swept up in it to the point where, like, you know, your mood is
dependent on how the Phillies did.
Yeah, then you gotta really develop a personality. Because,
it's fun to be excited because your team won, but like,
yes, it's fun to be there in the moment and share in a group dynamic of shared ecstasy.
Right.
But when it's over, go home.
Yes.
Don't beat people up in the parking lot.
Right. Yeah.
Don't beat people up anywhere.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good advice.
Yeah.
I think we should bring something up.
We should bring something up. We have a little bit of competition of our own going on, which is
which you should attach your identity to.
Yeah. Now this is actually important stuff. The competition to draw the best interpretation of Michelangelo's David Duchovny. Of course, as I introduce Aaron as sometimes.
Folks, John will sometimes introduce me, Aaron Pita, as Michelangelo's David Duchovny.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the work of art?
Michelangelo's David.
That's right.
And the celebrity,
now,
David Duchovny.
I mean, there's a lot of crossover here with these things. I don't think we need to explain it all. I could do an episode explaining it all, but maybe after I get the fucking thing.
The thing is, it's a hot guy mixed with a guy that's really perverted, Red Shoe Diaries, etc.
And all sorts of biblical, mythological, socioeconomic commentary just wrapped all into it.
It's really, really good. You know, these things just come to me. And, And frequently, I'll just get a new one, you know. And people
don't get a new one yet. Because we're still beating this one out. We've got a few very good submissions.
Yes.
So far, we're not quite there yet.
Yes, we'd like to see a hyper detailed, exquisite one, but we will post them all.
Yeah. And so
we will tell you the leaders of the pack.
Yeah. What we like about those leaders.
Yes, and then we will also tag Mr. David Duchovny himself. Maybe have him weigh in.
We're gonna find a way to get a hold of him.
We'll find a way.
We're gonna call 1-800 Red Shoe Diaries.
Condom with helium and just float it over his place.
Oh, maybe we need to
fill a condom with helium and float it over his.
Yeah, he probably loves him. He's bound to grab it.
He might be into that.
Grab what?
The condom.
Yeah.
He's a sex fiend, Aaron. Anything with sex,
dude,
he's just gonna grab it.
Real sex fiends don't like condoms, bro.
Unless they're putting their turds in them.
Yeah, maybe.
In which case, message in the condom. We're gonna normally would never ever critique or give people notes for their art, but this is going on my body.
Yes,
and
it's got to be the best.
It's gotta be.
Think about the time that Michelangelo took.
You know what he said? The way
Think about
Michelangelo
the time that Mrs. Duchovny took. David's mom.
gestating him.
Yeah.
And
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I know. I've
This is not a frivolous thing here, Matt.
No.
This is the real deal.
Yeah, I get that.
This is not a Carpe Diem
That's
tattoo.
why I don't have it tattooed.
Welcome to prime time, bitch.
You know, you got to really get. We want to get some more detail. We want to get a little slight 3D. We want to get a little relief to it. You know, a little. We want to see that maybe there's shadow. You want to break down the aesthetic distance.
Yeah. It needs to sing to the both, like, you know, the best aspects of the Michelangelo statue and also David Duchovny, you know, pretty decently famous celebrity.
And by virtue of that, making me look really cool for having it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I would say, yeah, he's, you know, the best example of, you know, a high functioning pervert that is cool.
Yeah.
He's cool.
Very.
You know?
Ladies love Cool D.
Yeah.
Duchovny.
Yeah.
LL Cool D.
You know, this is not Dave Navarro. This is not. No.
Mike, do not send us Michelangelo's Dave Navarro.
No.
I mean, you can send it.
That's
I'm
pretty
not
fun.
getting it.
That's pretty fun.
Do not send us Michelangelo's David Coulier.
David Letterman?
Nope.
Big old gap. Really nice. Yeah.
So
throw
don't.
in a
I mean,
pencil.
I'm not getting those ones.
No.
But we'll post what we've got so far on Instagram. What we think are the.
And we got the tips. And we'll give you the tips.
We'll give you tips. And then once we narrow down to a candidate. Then maybe we'll work one on one.
A candidate. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
And we'll also
we'll have a candidate.
Yeah.
as well.
and we'll get
popsicle. What happens?
we'll get Duchovny involved, see what he feels.
I'd love to get David involved, and I feel like he'd love to be involved as well.
Yeah, probably. All right.
I think we just have to meet. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know.
Spago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, he lives in Malibu. Maybe at that pizza place over there.
Sure.
Malibu pizza.
Maybe yeah.
Malibu 7-Eleven.
Yeah, we'll go to Paradise Cove, have the calamari, rub our toes in the sand on the beach. You know.
Oh, he probably loves toes.
That's nice.
We'll just crack wise about Red Shoe Diaries.
Matt, I think you have something that you want to share with us.
Oh no, Aaron should go first.
Yeah, I got a little tiny one.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, just tiny little thing. You know, John, your last profile regaled us with an incredible tale of twin brothers.
That's right.
Gynecologists, Jews,
Abortionists.
abortionists occasionally, revolutionary OBGYNs, identical but not so identical.
Yeah, they were I think fraternal,
but goddamn close to identical.
Yes.
Well, their parents couldn't even tell them apart when they were hitting them.
I think they didn't want to.
Yeah, there's that.
They had distinct different personalities, right? You know, one was the top, the one was the bottom,
yes.
etc. I got this story fucking here. There's so many interesting things about these twins, you know?
I know.
Oh yeah.
Let me say it. The Nazis were onto something studying them.
Yes, the Nazis, the first people to study twins.
Yeah.
Well, first ones to do it right.
Jesus Christ.
I'm just saying.
What are you saying?
Don't. Whatever you're saying, don't.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying it.
Yeah.
Just,
You're like, they had a lot of good ideas.
hey man, the Volkswagens are great.
Yeah.
So this
bosses.
Bayer aspirin really is the one. So this is the story of Jack Yuffe and Oscar Storr.
Okay.
Oscar STO with the umlaut HR. Oscar Storr. Now, these were brothers, identical twins, that were born in Trinidad.
But not Tobago.
That's right. In 1933.
Okay.
And their parents, like, they fell in love on a fucking ship on the way to Trinidad at some point, and they married, and they had kids. They were born in Trinidad in 1933. When that relationship unraveled very quickly,
when they're on shore.
you know, I got my land legs back. Huh?
I'm overseas.
The mother took one.
Oh, that's gnarly.
Yeah.
And was that store?
Yeah. So their mother married this man. So what's his name? Yosef Yufe. And they were raised apart.
Where?
So Jack spent his childhood in Trinidad and Venezuela.
Is that Yufe?
Jack Yufe,
Yeah.
yes. He served in the Israeli Navy.
Shit.
Worked in a kibbutz.
No shit.
And then followed, and he stayed with his father. The mother took Oscar to Germany.
Nope.
So Jack served in the Israeli Navy, worked in a kibbutz, followed with his father to San Diego as a young man, and ran a little knick-knack variety store in San Diego.
Surf shop.
Yeah, sex wax, whole nine, man.
Malibu surf shop.
Oscar, seen as the more sensitive, finicky one,
Honest boy.
moved to a small town in the Sudetenland in Germany, and it was, I guess this was before. When did Hitler take the Sudetenland? Like 35? Okay.
Well,
So-
if he's serving in the Israeli.
No. Now this is Oscar.
This is Oscar. This is the other one.
Right. But I'm saying. Oh, okay. So this is before.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I'm just giving you a little rundown of
Gotcha.
Jack. Now I'm
Okay.
giving you a little rundown of Oscar.
Gotcha.
Oscar.
Oscar grew up in a small town in the Sudetenland. He was raised as a Roman Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
Both born Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Raised Roman Catholic, joined the Hitler Youth. Then after the war, worked as a coal miner and a welder, where he married and had 2 children. So in 1979, there was this pioneering study at the University of Minnesota where like they found all these different twins that were raised apart around the world, and they were like, we got to study these fucking things. Like, like 3 Identical Strangers, that type of
You gotta
stuff.
study these fucking things.
Did you see that movie?
I heard about it. I don't.
Okay, well then don't cite it because it's not the same.
But I mean, it is about 3. It was a very unethical story about triplets that were separated at birth,
Yes.
and then they reunited them, and they found striking similarities with their lives.
Well, no, they found it's really that they were deliberately raised in 3 different classes.
Yeah,
And to see the differences that happen between what is supposed to be the same person.
Pretty fun time.
they're 3 different people, but yeah.
Great.
How does class affect one person? Yes,
That's science.
So I'm gonna cite it. So they became kind of like celebrities when this 1995 German documentary film called Oscar and Jack was made. And they were described by the director of this Minnesota study, Thomas J. Bouchard Jr. He said, Jack and Oscar clearly have the greatest differences in background I have ever seen among identical twins reared apart.
Yeah.
One was a Nazi.
Yeah.
One.
But he also knew he was Jewish, right? Maybe not.
Probably
Right,
not.
so-
I would guess not. Probably make it a lot easier.
So he asked
To
his
not know,
Jack was born 1933, Port of Spain. And so was Oscar.
Right.
But when Oscar went to Germany, they were separated. It was 6 months later. I mean, they were born and 6 months later.
They don't
remember ever meeting each other or anything like that. They don't remember shit.
Were they told of each other at all?
So later.
Okay.
Mother changes Oscar's last name to Store, and they go to Germany. She becomes a nursemaid, and she was a real Catholic bitch, man. She was a real disciplinarian to this kid. And when
That's a Sudetenland
when he was
for
a
you.
kid, he asked her what a Jew was, and she said, "Never say that word again."
Oh boy.
And now that may be because she saw the writing on the wall, what was going on in Germany at the time, and just don't ever bring it up.
Because is she Jewish?
Dude, you're only Jewish if your mother is.
Right. So yeah.
Let's see. I can give you a little info. Her name is Sonia. Let's see. Her name was Sonia. I don't have a last name.
Well, that's the thing too is that there would be people in Europe that would just change their name to
absolutely.
remove the Judaism, and then
it's as easy as that.
But then deliberately be unable to trace your shit back because you're just like fucking
because it's someone's job to like,
and not just
kill.
and I mean not just like in Russia people did that fucking all over the place.
So in school, like when his principal would ask what kind of name Yufei was, he would say it was French, like it's Yufei.
Hey.
Toward the end of the war, he had joined the Hitler Youth. Now Jack over in Trinidad and then Venezuela and San Diego, was still he was secular Jewish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't like a practicing religious Jew, but I still identified as such.
Yeah.
He was having his own weird isolation because he was like the only white dude in Trinidad.
Right.
Where the main religions are Christian and Hinduism at the time. When he was 7, he was told that he had a twin brother in Germany. And when they met years later, they both told each other that they were both haunted by the idea growing up that they would might meet each other on the battlefield.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, and killing one another, right? After the war, I think their mom wrote a letter to Joseph's father asking for help. Like, let's propose a family reconciliation. These kids need to know each other or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But by that time, Joseph had married the winner of the Miss Trinidad contest,
Hey, all right.
and was doing just fine without her.
Yeah.
Very.
He was a Trinidad.
Yeah, but Jack, so he would not respond to his ex-wife.
Wow.
But Jack would send care packages to Germany of like sugar and rum, all the island shit. You know, like,
I want to remind you.
here's some sugar.
Look at my wife wins every week.
Mm-hmm.
Jack at 13 joined the Sea Scouts, which was kind of like an entry point for the British Navy. In his mind, he was like, I had to be very pro-British because in my mind, being pro-British would take attention away from having a German mother. Because Germany wasn't in a hot geopolitical position after the war, just like you
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but he had an aunt in Venezuela who had survived the concentration camps.
Damn.
Yeah, he went to Israel, worked in a kibbutz,
Yeah.
served as a flagship sergeant in the Israeli Navy, married an American woman, Ona Hirsch, who urged him to make contact with his German side of his family.
Huh.
That marriage ended in divorce.
But then they met through this university thing?
Yes, so in 1979, this one read an article about the Minnesota twin family study. They met.
Of course.
They met in an airport. And they were like, dude, it's like looking in a mirror. Both men had short, neatly trimmed mustaches, rectangular wire-rimmed glasses rounded at the corners. They both wore blue shirts with military-style pockets, their same receding hairline. Over the next 20 years, until Oscar died in 1997, they visited each other and took vacations together while submitting to a week-long battery of tests through this twin study.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck.
With the baseball.
Professor Bouchard noticed that both brothers had the same gait, the same way of sitting in chairs, things that their family members over the years had picked up on. Both men loved butter and spicy food. They both flushed the toilet before and after using it. Both read the endings of books first. Both wrapped tape around pens and pencils to get a better grip. Both spoke precisely at the same rate despite different languages.
Wow.
Jack said, I always thought I picked up nervous habits like fidgeting with other people's rubber bands and paper clips from my father, but because he's the same way.
I think that happens too, though.
It does happen.
Yes, that does happen too.
Yeah.
But the other one never met his father.
No, I know, but there was, there's other people I know that didn't know their dad, and some relatives that did know their dad would be like,
"Oh, your father would do that."
Yeah, you're doing
this. Can be exemplified greatly in the beginning, middle, maybe the second act of Back to the Future, when they're in the cafe 50s, just the cafe at the time, and he's sitting next to his dad, and they both do that.
Yeah,
that thing.
Pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Now he might have learned that nature and nurture. He did know his father, who was a loser, or a butthead. They said their family members said that they were very competitive, always trying to one up each other, like finding the best hotel on vacation. They learned to avoid certain topics like the war or religion.
Yeah, there you go. That makes sense.
Eventually, eventually that, because they were still very like they were not tight. One grew up as a Nazi youth, the other did not.
Right. But what did they get out of these hangs together that they enjoyed?
Eventually, they started bonding over practical jokes.
No, they had so much in common. Even if it wasn't.
You flushed. Even just you flushed the toilet too before and after. Shit, I thought it was just me.
This guy gets me.
Yeah. But that's not. How far is that going to take you?
Well,
eventually.
That doesn't take you that far. But then the pen thing. Then there's all of these things where you're like.
It's enough to keep doing it every year as a part of the study, but like they still weren't. They didn't. It wasn't until later that they had a little bit of a bond, right? Yeah. And the family members say like. Once on a trip to Trinidad while the two were riding in a taxi, Jack spotted an old friend and told Oscar to jump out and give him a big greeting. And a minute later, Jack got out of the taxi and the man said, "Oh, Lord, it's two Jackies." Now my question is, who Jack?
It's two Jackies.
And Jack recalled when Jack was speaking to the professor during these tests every year, whatever. I guess toward the end, Jack he recalled something strange that Oscar said to him, and he said, "If we would have been switched, I would have been the Jew, and you would have been the Nazi."
Yeah.
And Oscar died back in 2015.
Fell down a manhole.
And I don't know if Jack is still alive.
Also fell down a manhole.
But one of those
probably
weird
flushed
things,
himself.
like before and after. Yeah. One of those weird.
Oh no, yeah, it's very, very
weird twin things.
Yeah, I had a sociology teacher who he said he insisted that he believed it was nature and not nurture because he heard a story about these two twins who never knew each other and both became firefighters. And he's like, "There it is. That's the proof."
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, you're kind of a scientist.
Well, that is the thing about the deliberate thing about the three identical strangers is that they deliberately put them in a upper class, lower class, and middle class family.
But all in the same country.
All in the same country, but deliberately.
Yeah, the interesting story about that is that it's how wildly unethical it is.
Oh, it's wildly unethical, and not only that, it was,
and it's not good science.
No,
and then check this out. It is a specifically Jewish adoption agency. So it's Jewish people wanting to know that their kid is Jewish, and they're getting into very fucking weird Nazi-ish experiments with real living people. Mm-hmm. And then they would go and they would have somebody take like tests on how they were doing in the three different homes and film them, 8mm, 6mm, whatever they had back then. And they would also see like signs of separation anxiety with the kids hitting their heads like on the fucking the bars of
your brother you don't know hits his head at the same speed.
Yeah, but just like a kid.
Sam speed?
Sam speed.
A kid knowing that something's wrong.
Sam speed.
And just how fucked is that?
That's
it's super fucked.
And none of the researchers fucking saying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anybody that is going to see the movie, but
it's been out for a while.
You can spoil it.
Well, I mean, the one from the lower class family, he kills himself.
Right.
And so at first they all meet each other and they're like, "Oh yeah, we like the same kind of girls, same mannerisms." They have all this cute shit and that's all good. And then they're running a restaurant together. They went on the national news tour together. But then just suddenly like, it just pivots in the documentary. It's such a roller coaster of documentary, and this one woman is just like, it's nurture. It's all nurture.
She's wrong.
No, she's not. Because this was
a combination of both.
Yeah.
Of course, but this was the reason.
So then she's wrong. It's all nurture is wrong.
Which two didn't kill themselves?
Yeah, but that's not everything.
Well, maybe she's saying it's all nurture.
Saying it's all nurture is obviously wrong.
No, but maybe she's saying
all 100%.
No. Okay, not all. Will you settle down?
But that's what she said.
Maybe she just said
it's nurture. Yeah, watch the movie.
But I imagine she's responding to the reason this situation happened is nurture.
Well, no, it was like all the hype of their thing, and then starting the rest of it was just like nature. Like they're the same, and then like it was going like no, the socioeconomic differences had a huge impact.
Absolutely.
Was this fucking guy like a drunk abusive dad? Kind of probably hit him more than the other kids.
And then they all met each other.
And then he
found out. Then he goes, "Holy shit! I was separated at birth, and they chose to put me in the fucking." Lower classes of society. That's part of the suicide too.
Maybe.
No, I don't think that they actually got there. They didn't uncover the conspiracy maybe by the time that he killed himself, but the result of his upbringing, was, he had a different upbringing.
Yes,
and
totally.
It matters.
Absolutely,
nurture fucking matters.
It's no doubt.
Yeah, so like.
If I had been taken to Germany, I would have been a Nazi. If you had been stayed here, you would have been a Jew. Totally.
So,
but it's not all one or the other. Anybody that says that is deluding themselves.
Yeah, but the point of the experiment was to be like, here's 3 of the sames, as much as you can get.
Right.
Let's see what happens in these 3 different things.
Right.
And then they were going and doing a battery of tests throughout. That was part of the thing of like they probably got stipends for doing this, and then. It was still kept like a secret or whatever. They fucking go to school and then people are like, "You look like my friend," and then they all meet each other. It's like the whole thing plays out. But there's only one of them that died.
Right? Would he have done that if they never met? Right? If they never knew that they were separated at birth. Also, growing up in the same country, even though there's 3 different classes they were in, they're gonna have a lot of the same experiences. It's not like raising them in fucking sub-Saharan Africa.
No, of course not. But
it's all more similar than it is different.
Right.
And if you would have taken any 3 of them and put them in that, they also may have committed suicide too. It's a mixture of both.
Yeah, but it's not like what you go through matters.
Jesus Christ, yes.
And that was the point of the experiment. So.
And that's why the Nazis,
Oh, boy.
That's why they what?
I don't know. I just wanted to get a rise out of you. I just wanted to get a rise out of you.
You did it in the last one? You're talking I'm like telling the story. I'm going like, and then he won't revive his brother, and he's going like, well, it's not gay, and I was like, what the fuck are you saying? I was so mad, and then later on, I was like, that was really funny. I was going, because they were going like, the gay shit. I was like, yeah, like the gay shit.
Well, it's not. It's not.
I know.
It's your brother. You're saving his life. But he was probably, it was too close. It was too real for him.
It's a really stupid contribution. I was so invested in this story, and you're like, well, it's not gay. I was like, are you listening?
I'm listening to every word.
That was rather nice, Aaron. I enjoyed that quite a bit.
It's interesting. There's all sorts of weird twins shits.
Yeah. There's, really quite a few, especially the trouble they get into when they stay together and they like, there's some of those ones where like, they have their own language and they feel very much like they cover for each other. So they get like, there's some stories where there can be some real trouble.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Obama was a twin. His brother was in office half the time, and no one knows about it.
Yeah, totally.
There was only one tower, but it's called the Twin Towers. There's always one coming into the
mirage. All right, let's take a break, and then we're gonna come back, and Matt's gonna give us a sweet little profile.
Kind of, yeah.
We'll be right back, folks. And we're back.
Hell yeah.
See that Dodger drawing you did? Then we're back with Big Sexual.
I did not.
No, I didn't see that either, man.
He sends me everything but stuff about this show.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
At least this time he actually messaged me about a very good artist I hadn't heard of just out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, no, he's got some killer suggestions sometimes.
Yeah, really.
I mean, he did
really.
that prison escape guy or whatever, and like I think I might have put the profile together like the same day, but I didn't tell him I was going to do it, and then like it came out like really hot on the heels, and he was like, "Whoa, that was fast." But that was all Dodger, yeah.
Well, thanks, Dodger, you fucking maniac.
And he really just really kind of got me with it, with the thing of like, oh, this guy's like locked up with the most insane people on earth just because he's so good at escaping prisons.
Here with them, yeah.
But like he didn't do anything that crazy, and just like the dichotomy of that of like, I'm in here with the most famous like terrorists on earth.
All because one cop is like, you seem like a white guy.
But they're just
Get
like,
out of here, scamp.
but they're like, they're just so embarrassed that they're like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it was. It's like, I mean, that guy still got promoted after that.
Yeah.
They're not so embarrassed to not keep.
Oh, yeah.
doing
No,
that.
yeah. All right. So, Matt, what do you got for me, man?
Okay, so I mean, this is kind of a media thing, and I think in some ways, I think Aaron, you're definitely you're not gonna like some of it. And
why am I not gonna like some of it?
Because it's pseudoscience.
Oh, but that's cool. I like critiquing stuff.
It's gonna be pretty easy to critique. And John, I think for that same reason, you will kind of like it.
Oh, yeah.
Because John, you believe bullshit.
No, because I think his tolerance for pseudoscience is a little
Higher?
bit different.
Oh.
It's just different.
How the fuck is that?
Yeah, well, just listen, man. I like the fucking remote view. Like,
No. I'm just saying.
Hey, let's try it out.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So, So first off, I want to say this comes from, for me, someone in the Profiles Hall of Fame, Donna Cassi, who ran the Kook Zine forever and has been just like a nonstop source for just, wackos and weirdos and weird ideas.
Mm-hmm.
The good shit.
Yeah. And so I got one of I heard the second book she made.
Frankenstein Computer God.
Yes.
Listening.
Yes, that was one of hers. And also the concave Earth is a concave shell. There's another one.
Oh, yeah.
This one, there was a couple in here I was trying to choose from. One of them is a different type of pseudoscience about the aquatic ape theory.
I love the aquatic ape.
Do you know
theory.
that one?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so
it's
that's
very fun.
It's fun. I didn't. That one required more research to explain. I just didn't.
Yeah.
Are you going into that at all or no?
No.
Okay.
I was
can I
going
give people
to.
a little bit of a rundown just on it? So the aquatic ape theory is that at some point in our history as primates, we may have been damn near amphibious. Most of humanity lives within a few miles of the beach, not just any body of water, but the beach. Human babies innately will hold their breath if you throw them into a pool or
Don't
something.
try it at home.
Nice.
They just know how to hold their breath.
And then later sue the band.
We don't have. Are you talking about Nirvana?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I get that. I got that. Understood that reference.
There it is.
We have. We're hairless, pretty much.
Right.
And we I think are the only primates that swim, etc., so on and so forth. So there's the aquatic ape theory that at some point in our history we were ocean dwelling.
I like it.
It's fun.
It's fun to think about.
It was popularized by an English writer, television writer, Elaine Morgan,
Mm-hmm.
because it was kind of like a feminist take on human history, and then later she
really advanced the feminist cause by being wrong.
Well, she took the feminism out in her later writings of it in order to make it scientific.
You know what she could have done was add science and take out bullshit, left the feminism.
But even David Attenborough.
But it sounds like you believe in it.
No, I don't.
Even David Attenborough thinks it's a theory worth studying, and
it's worth studying, of course. I think the science is pretty much in that we don't.
That it's failed.
Yeah.
Well, heat is life.
Yeah. And time kills.
But I mean, you gotta be around water.
No.
Yeah. I think in general, throw anything up and have it shut down is the best science.
Science.
As someone pointed out, it's an umbrella theory in that you can't really poke holes in it because there's nothing
It's
concrete
unfalsifiable.
enough poke a hole in.
It's not a real theory because it's unfalsifiable.
And plus, I always kind of thought that the idea of evolution was us crawling out of the mud anyway.
But no, as fish.
Right.
But not as primates.
Not as like apes doing the backstroke.
Not like going in as, and then, like at some point.
Oh, I see. Yes.
I mean, deep evolutionary history. The fossil record is remarkably complete, showing like there's not a bunch of fossilized primates in seabeds.
Right.
But
that'd be dope.
It would be dope.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
And then we really would have Namor.
Oh, yeah.
Shit, it'd be really fucking cool as shit. But
take it back to Atlantis, man.
But it's always if I quote the TV show Sightings,
as you always
no case is closed to an open mind.
Very true.
Wow.
We agree.
Sightings, Sci-Fi Channel. Catch it.
So what do we got?
Okay, so there's this idea that has run throughout history of sort of a cyclical idea of history, a sort of a golden age of perfection, and then that was whittled down, and then slowly humans got worse and worse until they were destroyed and birthed again.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Dark Age.
Many cultures.
Yes, and this has been something that has been believed through many cultures and religions too. And it usually starts, and I'm paraphrasing a lot of Kasi here, but the nostalgia for the Gilded Age.
Yes.
Right, when everything was perfect.
Yes.
Even to the point where the Greek historians would talk about how amazing Sparta was.
Yes.
And Brett Devereaux in his amazing, his wonderful history of Sparta, he points out that guys like Herodotus, Thucydides, Xenophon, Aristotle, Plutarch, they're saying wasn't Sparta wonderful for rich white men like us? Is really what they're saying.
Yeah.
And it's this idea of weren't we better back then in the golden age when mortals were gods?
Yeah.
Right. And then there's the silver age after the golden age. It's not as good. The children aren't doing as well, but it's not bad. Mm-hmm. And then of course there's the bronze age where it's all war all the time. Right. And then the heroic age where things get a little bit better,
and this Bronze Age is different than the actual historic Bronze Age.
This is a culture.
The Bronze Age is a historical time period, but this is a what you're referring to is this kind of mythological devolution, evolution, cyclical nature of how time passes for humanity.
Yes, and weren't things better back then?
Right.
Yes.
And aren't we're way worse off now than
remember
we were.
when
the Yugas are also this in Hindu mythology.
Yes, and Kasi does mention that too. And then of course there's the Iron Age, and things are terrible. And then of course there's a period of rebirth. And you can even see the flood. Noah's God's flooding the earth is a period of rebirth. Yeah. But the difference is as Kasi writes, in the Judeo-Christian, it's more linear. It's not as cyclical.
Right.
But then with people like Madame Blavatsky,
worthy of a profile.
It became her idea. This secret doctrine was again cyclical, and so her idea of the history of humanity was again it evolved different than the Judeo-Christian. And I think you could see a kind of a pattern of we believe this thing, and then someone goes, I have a different idea, and people go, oh, that's cool.
But are they saying it's by design almost?
Yes.
A la the League of Shadows?
Allah?
Allah?
Not Allah.
No, it's not cosmic design.
Okay.
Not
burn it down and start again.
Yes, not
right.
Loaded
It's
trade ships with plague rats. Burn London to the ground. No, it's not
Okay.
It's not the League of Shadows. It's a cosmic, in their opinion, it's a cosmic reality.
Right.
Okay.
Zeus destroys it, and we start over.
Got it.
Madame Blavatsky was tight with, I think, P.D. Uspensky.
Yeah, we talked about her a little bit. And
this kind of modern, what we consider modern mystic from the Near East.
Yeah, evolution of mesmerism. And stuff.
That whole time period.
Got it.
Yeah. Theosophist. I think she was
Theosophist,
one of the founding minds of Theosophy.
Yes.
Okay.
That whole group is gonna get mined on the show. So if you're, I don't know why you thought I'd hate this. I love this show.
No, we're not the stuff you hate.
I'll get to the hate later.
And, she even points out that Kasi points out that Schlegel, Friedrich von Schlegel, he used the term Aryan to say that the ancient Indians, the ancestors of the Germans, were an aristocratic, perfect
We were
race.
just talking about this before you We were just talking about this off air before you even brought any of this up. That's so funny.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that's cyclical.
It's where the show is a little cyclical. But one of the most interesting of all is, so there's all of these ideas that things were better. But she writes about one that I think is amazing, where things were better, but not because they were good. Things were bad, and they only got worse.
Mm.
And that brings us to a man named Oscar Kiss-Maerth.
Can you spell that?
Oscar, and then Kiss, and then Maerth.
Uh-huh.
And
Oscar with a K or a C?
with a C.
Good.
He was born in Hungary, what was then Hungary, in 1914.
He was starving, too.
And at some point in his life, there's almost nothing known about this guy. But at some point in his life, he was naturalized as a British citizen, and he made a lot of money as a businessman in Hong Kong.
Ooh.
Oh.
And I know this from a UPI article.
What's UPI?
It's Universal Press something.
Okay.
International. I don't
Associated Press type thing.
Okay.
Yeah. In 1972, he moved into a 180-room compound in Italy that he helped rebuild. He apparently made so much money as a businessman.
What year? 1882?
1972.
1972. Way
Yes.
off.
He smoked, according to an interview that some guy on elcultural.com remembered that he did with him. He smoked nonstop and he wore Tibetan monk robes.
Dude, I like this already.
Damn.
And from the UPI, the only news article I found on him was in 1982, his daughter Gabby was abducted and ransomed. The abductors asked for $3.6 million, but he was able to convince them that he didn't have that kind of money anymore. And after 149 days, she was released for $122,000.
Damn.
Such a good deal.
Yeah. She's out of my hair.
Wow. I mean, you deal with her.
She's not in one of my 180 rooms.
In 149 days, you guys are gonna be begging for me to take her back.
What is he famous for at this point that you would ransom his daughter?
Just having a lot of money.
Huh. Okay.
I mean, he helped fix up this compound.
Okay. Yeah. That's property development,
so,
etc.
It's this place in Italy, and apparently they thought his daughter had run away with her boyfriend, and then a few days
it's maybe possibly Mafia Camorra kind of.
Yeah, it could be.
What's that? I don't know what that is.
Camorra would be the Neapolitan, the Naples Mafia,
Oh yeah.
and Mafia is Sicilian.
How do you spell Camorra?
Comorra, I believe.
Oh, okay, got it.
So that was the thing. They were separate organizations in the States too, and they were very much regionally affiliated.
Yeah.
And then it was again under Luciano, who was
green is the only color.
yeah, and when he was going we hang out with Polish people, Irish guys, the Jewish,
Some blacks.
yeah, and so all the Italians eventually got under the Mafia thing.
Cosa Nostra. It's our
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And,
But they still would have those prejudices
oh yeah.
between Gotti and Sammy the Bull, for instance. Sammy the Bull would be Sicilian.
The Sicilians.
So Meredith died in 1990, and so that's basically everything I was able to find about him.
Okay.
Daughter ransom, made a ton of money.
Okay.
Except he wrote an 8-page pamphlet that was the sequel to the book that he is known for.
Oh.
And I'm not going to give you the title because that will give it away.
Aww.
But here are the reviews. He wrote a book that came out, I believe, I forgot to write that down, but in the late 70s.
So after his moving into the compound and after the ransom?
Before the ransom.
Before the ransom, he wrote this book.
Yes.
And that's part of his fame. Or
Yes.
Okay, that's how these guys
Or
are.
infamy.
I got a guess.
Do you want to say it now?
Do not confirm or deny the guess.
Is it the Anarchist Cookbook?
No, it's not.
No, that guy's still alive. They did a
I don't know who did it. It was
There's a
just
guy who
guess.
did a
It's not the
documentary.
Anarchist Cookbook.
No, that guy. There's a documentary about that guy right now online.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
he's like, man, fuck
So-
these guys.
He writes his book. It doesn't sell at all. He did. He even went on, quote, the most reputed German TV show on culture, And they did quote if you were out of the mainstream, he did quote everything to have him seen, interviewed, reviewed, but the book sold very badly. And
despite their best efforts.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And then the United States, the Praeger Publishing Corporation, which, as Cassie points out, was often published books for the CIA.
Was this Mein Kampf 2 Electric Boogaloo?
No, but there is a New York Times article from 1977 that points out that the guy who created Praeger Publishing was friendly with the CIA and would often publish books for them as kind of like
a test.
Let's see what this does to the culture type of thing.
Right.
Just like, and he's doing that to the United States too. It's just like, just bad people all around. But this book, the reviews here, I'm going to read some of the reviews. Here's one from
reviews of the original book, which would later get an 8-page pamphlet sequel.
Yes.
Just trying to keep everything on track for the listener and for
very
myself.
nice.
I'm stupid.
I like that.
The Atlantic Monthly wrote, this bizarre work is reportedly a great bestseller in Europe. It wasn't. Which can be taken to imply several things, all sinister. The Time itself wrote, one of the...
Time magazine?
Yeah. I cannot recommend it on its merits. It has none. And then it also wrote...
Is it fiction or nonfiction?
A little of both. Oh. They also wrote, it's quite a read, though perhaps though persons on a low cholesterol diet might care to pass it up.
On a low cholesterol.
The Literary Supplement of London wrote, a collector's gem. For way out speculation, it is unbeatable. And one reviewer, who I will not name now, described it as a better explanation than the Bible.
Oh, fascinating.
So this book begins, the first chapter is called The Newcomer Without a Memory. And it opens, even before that, it opens with...
Dude, is it Battlefield Earth?
No, it's not Battlefield Earth. The opening message from the book, from Meerth himself, is written, he says, in a monastery in China. Man has discovered many things, but not himself. He gave himself the name Homo sapiens. The justness of this self-baptism was not endorsed by any competent authority. So know yourselves and the truth concerning your origin. Alter your goals accordingly before it is too late. And that is, in essence, the kind of thesis, the partial thesis of his book. The first chapter, The Newcomer Without a Memory. He talks about how man came out and had no idea how anything worked. And he writes, he wandered over this earth and found no end to it. He looked at the sun, the moon, and the stars, and they all seemed to move round him. This led him to an egocentric and self-laudatory hypothesis concerning himself and the world. God alone stood above him. For man, the world consisted of the earth, which was flat and firmly anchored. The sun and all the stars circled around the earth. He, man, lived in the middle of this flat earth, and it was the crowning achievement of creation because the world, for him, was only the earth.
Okay. I mean, these are reasonable...
Yes.
These are reasonable conclusions to come to.
Yes.
So far.
Oh, like self-awareness and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean,
in Devil's Advocate, it would be.
It'd be Keanu.
No, it would be after the tasting of the drugs. Actually, like being more self-aware and then wondering more about origin, existence.
Now that's the stoned ape hypothesis.
That is the stoned ape hypothesis.
Put forward by one of my favorite human beings of all time, Terrence McKenna.
But I would guess that this is going more alien origin.
Not quite. He then says, for 400 years the sun was the center. Then, at some point, a monk confirms there are more suns.
Oh,
it's devastating.
Ooh, can I get a guess? You know
of what?
What it is? The book?
What it is?
Sure.
The Coming Race about the Hollow Earth?
No.
Shit. I love being this. I like to be wrong.
And he's even before that. He said, a Greek maintained the Earth was not a flat disk but a sphere. This disturbed man's notion that he was placed at the center of the Earth, for there is no center on the surface of a sphere.
Right.
And so after evolution, he writes, now he stands in the lowest step and consoles himself with the remaining scraps of his once splendid conceptions concerning himself and his imagined world. But he is beginning to worry about his soul.
Aha.
And then he writes, The road from ape to man was made up of a chain of criminal acts contrary to the laws of nature. Man has become the lunatic genius, a phrase he uses often, of the universe, whose diseased mind with its absurd objectives is necessarily and inevitably becoming his doom. In the quiet before the approaching storm, he holds his breath. He listens fearfully to the distant rumbling of thunder, and he hopes as he listens that his senses are deceiving him. They are not deceiving him.
It's poetic.
It is really good writing.
The first chapter, pretty interesting stuff. And you're like, oh, this is okay.
Yeah.
The second chapter is called The Collapse of a Theory.
Listen, everything I said is bullshit.
That earlier shit.
New shit has come to light, man.
I was drunk.
I was fucked up.
And so the second chapter, The Collapse of a Theory, he's like,
I fired my editor.
he talks about, he's like, well, you know, we found these remains of apes who made tools and apes who didn't. How could they exist at the same time? And he says that the ape brains altered within the bounds of natural development just as slowly today, just as slowly as they had in the preceding 20 million years. And he says, except over 1 million years, the capacity
brain size doubled
of one group doubled. And he says there's only one explanation.
Oh God. What's
a million years ago, one type of hominin ape, the identity of which is not yet been ascertained, started on a steep upward climb. The brain intelligence of these apes grew with a speed which is unique and unparalleled in the whole history of nature.
He's right.
While the brain of this breed grew from about 400 cc to an average of 1400 cc, 300%.
Cubic centimeter.
Yes. The intelligence and memory increased 100-fold. This enormous distance between the brain growth and increase is contrary to all the rules governing natural evolution.
It's not contrary, but it is an aberration. This is true, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, the brain size of the human doubled in size over the period of 1 million years, which is fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
There are a few cogent theories as to why that happened and how that happened. We can get into that later, but I love that this seems to be a watershed moment where this jumps off the fucking rails.
Yes. So I'm just going to read each chapter. He writes a summary in bold or in all caps of what the chapter is going to be. So I'll just read the summary of The Collapse of a Theory. Man perceived that his forebears were hominid apes. He tries to explain his formation on the basis of the theory of natural evolution, but human development is in contradiction to cosmic order. It was set in motion by man's own sinful interference and produced physical defects dangerous to his existence and an oversized, sick brain, which made his self-destruction appear to be progress.
Your brain's, it's a tumor, man. Your brain is metastasizing. It's too big.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
It's too big.
Chapter 3 is called The Empty Skulls.
Oh, God. You gotta scoop that shit up. All those itty bits of brain.
And he says, you know, we found it whenever we find skeletons in a cave. It is just the skull. Where's the rest of the body? They must have taken the skull, or sometimes the skull is broken and you only find pieces of it.
You say that about anything.
Yes.
Yeah, why'd I only find a tooth?
He's making some very broad assumptions here.
Is he saying we come from like big head people?
So on page 38 of his 200-page book.
Page 38?
Of his 200-page book, chapter 3, The Empty Skulls, he writes, man's ape ancestors discovered that the consumption of the brains of their fellows increased their sexuality. They became addicted to brains and hunted for them.
Oh my God.
It was not until later that they noticed that their intelligence increased with the process.
This is the best.
The desire for increased sexual pleasure and the later desire to become more intelligent induced man to pursue cannibalism more intensively.
Oh, this is dope.
Brains. This is like when they divided
the intelligent.
We gotta eat those brains.
And virile zombie.
Makes me right because it would if eating brains made you more intelligent and more horny, you would out reproduce those that wouldn't do it.
Right.
I mean, it winds right up in evolution. This is like how they divided the rights between in the zombie movie making. like one. I just learned this the other day.
No, I told you. Yeah, it was Living Dead.
One gets the living dead, and one just gets the dead.
Yeah, George Romero got dead.
And so that's why there's brains in the other one, and the other one is not.
Just eating flesh. Yeah. In the Romero one. Yeah.
But he also writes that they didn't notice the intelligence until they had already because one group that ate the brains, they got the dumb intelligence. Then the next group only got how far that group had been. So it took a while before they realized.
If you're dumb, you don't know how dumb you are.
Yeah.
You got to expand the menu.
Yeah. But they were horny the entire
fucking
time.
Cheesecake Factory.
Everybody's so horny, but
too dumb to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, I just ate a dumb guy. So I feel pretty.
I better eat it.
You know what I mean? Like just uninspired, because
you also have to watch out for the nut zombies.
Oh, big time.
Yeah. So it's kind of like an inoculation against getting too big of a brain.
But the thing is too is that if you eat a dumb guy, maybe if you swallow some other guy's cum, maybe one of those sperm is like real smart.
Yeah, maybe one.
Yeah.
You ever think about that?
I never thought about that.
You guys never considered that? You guys never considered that you might be stupid from cannibalizing a dumb guy?
Yeah, but
you can repair it by swallowing some guy's cum?
I was going to say the other way around, but maybe you're the smart one.
You guys never thought of that? It's embarrassing.
That's why it's young, dumb, and full of cum, because it's a dumb guy.
Right.
And that's what it's the cream of some young guy. Because the cream rises. Dude, this is the best. I don't know why you think I would hate this.
I thought you would take it.
Dude, I love
seriously.
this.
But here's the thing.
I'm sorry.
It's like, no matter how dumb it is, take your shot.
Oh, he's taking a shot.
I'll take a shot in the mouth if it gets me halfway
No, but
across
just like,
He's taking a shot.
outlandish theories.
I love it.
Bro.
He's going for it.
Like,
I hate when people believe it.
Yes.
No.
But I love it.
No.
He did believe it.
Belief is, whatever. But,
But I mean, if this took root and people
he was hoping. He was hoping it would.
Right.
That's bad news. But the fact that exists, I love it.
But yeah, I mean, every fucking
what I mean?
Spherical Earth was a rogue theory, and believing it was insane at one point.
Dude, most intelligent societies knew that the Earth was round for a very, very long time.
I'm just saying.
Watch the first episode of Cosmos with Carl Sagan, and he'll point out that they
knew.
They knew.
Right.
Any worth a damn knew.
Right. Except the colonial powers that were about to overtake an entire portion of the Earth.
No.
Do you really think that Columbus thought the Earth was flat?
No, but society did.
Columbus might have, but when he first met it was either Portuguese or Spanish kings, and he's like, "Here's my idea. I'm going to do this." They talked to their experts, and they were like, "He has no idea how the Earth.
He
is.
didn't.
Right.
He didn't.
Right.
That's why. But they all knew. I mean, everybody knew. I mean, dumb peasant people didn't know because they didn't need to know.
Right.
But people who needed to know knew for a very long time that the Earth was round.
Right.
Still, Americans have some having issues with it.
Yeah, Americans.
Some Americans having issues with that.
They seem to actively fight against common sense.
But throwing shit up and it being like outlandish.
It's great.
It's
very fun.
It's really where most of the breakthrough science comes from.
Take a shot.
Is like take a shot.
Does it stick?
And if it doesn't, then you go home.
Yeah, and take another shot.
Go home to your 180 rooms.
That's where it changes, on the internet, is that people don't go home anymore.
They don't go home and take another shot.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
right. Yes,
that's
a very good point.
And that's a problem.
So he writes, continuing in this to double down on his points. He writes, the process of human development began with the consumption of a brain, and this continued uninterrupted through the whole story of mankind's development. In eating the brain, man consumed the substances concentrated in it. Both his brain and his capacity for thought increased disproportionately. From this arose a biological unjustified surplus of intelligence, which later turned into a diseased condition. At the same time, the functions of the central nervous system, originally in equilibrium, were disturbed by the same means, the pituitary gland being particularly affected. This controls, among other things, hair growth and sexuality.
Nice.
Dude,
check out the big brain on Brad.
Check out the hairless body on Brad.
That's right.
Don't you want to fuck him?
The metric system.
And then you're thinking too much about it.
And so he writes, one of the reasons that we lost hair and that women started having periods is because of this evolution from he never disputes Darwin's evolution. He just says Darwin got it wrong, the reason. And so he says, once we started eating the brains, it fucked up with the pituitary gland. So we lost hair. And then women who were born from this, they had started having periods. And so that messed up the cycle of animal sexual reproduction, where the animal would smell that the woman was ovulating and only have sex with her then. And then because women, because it messed up that idea.
Was that not happening just...
So in most primates, there is a very obvious period of heat.
Yes.
Being in heat, it's not. Part of it is smell and pheromones, but then sometimes like shit just swells up.
Right.
And you just go, oh, dude, she's fucking doing it.
Yeah. When the cats make the...
In general, human women have, I think it's called ambiguous ovulation or hidden. I'm gonna fuck it up, but it's not obvious ovulation.
Right.
In women.
It's just like starting a weird fight.
Eating a lot of chocolate.
Well, there are certain things, the viscousness of the secretions and whatnot, the swelling of the breasts, etc., so on and so forth. But this is one of those things where he's got a little bit of truth in there and wraps it with a bunch of bullshit, which is great.
Yeah.
It's a great way to get a message in. It's psychotic.
It's a pitch.
But it's a pitch.
Start at the ground floor.
Yeah.
And if that part's solid,
build up.
Then you just go like, oh, well, I got him here.
Yeah. This is funny. This is good. I like this. We'll dissect it. We'll keep going. I like it.
So, and he also writes, and he has a lot of ideas, as you can imagine, and he kind of is a little bit all over the place with them. And he writes,
I got a lot of ideas.
He says that, this is for page 30, as all human races, without exception in all areas and at all periods, were cannibals, then it should follow that for many hundreds of thousands of years, all mankind had a uniform religion, which rested on a senseless superstition. In other words, what Lao Tzu, Buddha, Christ, Muhammad, and all other founders of religion have failed to do, namely, give mankind a universal religion, an ape managed to do 1,000,000 years ago.
And that was cannibalism? The religion of cannibalism?
What the fuck does that mean?
Well, I mean...
that the guy next to you is...
outgroups. I would imagine that this guy said it was only outgroups, because there is plenty of evidence that tribes of apes would occasionally, if not routinely, cannibalize other factions of apes that they would go to war with.
Oh, yes, definitely.
And what that really is just you don't let good protein go to waste.
And also there's something...
And brain is high fat, high caloric.
And there's a thing, too, of
it's good shit.
Of signaling to, the mating group also, like, we will survive.
Ape together strong.
Because we will eviscerate, anybody that...
Yeah.
So, like, you should have children with me kind of thing.
Well, yeah, and then they would also, like, they would... What's the right way to say it? They would let the women live and take them in their own group. Because, like, that's also valuable. Fertile females are valuable.
Yes,
Men are expendable.
Yes.
And so then that's a way of just expanding your tribe or your group.
Right.
But brain is like mostly fat and salt.
Yeah.
And sugar. And so like it's like, yeah, we're gonna eat it.
There was a thing
and organ meat in general and all that stuff. And it still happens today in various ape I guess chimpanzees and shit like that.
Back during like
I don't think there's evidence to show that eating brains makes your brain
back
bigger.
in
Just ask cows.
In the time of just being 21 and breaking stuff like by the punk houses, there was somebody had a tin of pork brains.
Yeah.
And somebody left it out. And it was something insane like 3,000% cholesterol. and some cat just went to town on it.
Oh yeah,
He's
probably fucking
spunked
loved.
all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, no, the cat was voted mayor that
He came up with some really good
yeah,
ideas.
there's a lot of there's a lot of municipal shit that came out
Was
of
that Toonces the driving cat?
Yeah, that's right. He crashed.
Imagine this cat just like going ape shit on these fucking pig brains and just being like, "This is the best time of
Oh,
my
it
life."
probably was.
It's probably exquisite.
God almighty.
So he has these diversions. So he has that little diversion to religion. Then he comes back to pituitary gland, and gets back to. And so he says because of the absence of the female sex signs, the birth rate declined. Cannibalism itself decimated the population. The species, thus, was in danger of extinction. To protect it from this, sexual intercourse had to be intensified so that several attempts at fertilizing one person at least might be successful.
Gangbangs.
Anyways, as far as cannibalism was concerned, this meant that oil was poured on the burning flames. The necessary sexual prowess could be attained only by increased consumption of the sex drug, brain. The hunt for men was therefore pursued more zealously than ever before.
Jesus Christ.
So
So
funny.
because we're getting so smart, or we're not noticing that women are ovulating anymore, population's dying out.
Yeah.
But because we're so smart, we realize this. We know we got to have sex, and now we're horny all the time.
Yeah.
And the only way we need to be horny all the time, and the only way to do that,
Eat more brains.
eat more brains.
Especially smart guys.
But it's also like the
Get over here, egghead.
The population is being decimated. Maybe the cannibalism has something to do.
I would bet.
Yeah.
I would bet.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna pivot and be like, "Oh, come on, I'm not gonna eat you, dude. Fuck my wife." That's what I thought you were gonna say.
Yeah, it's it all falls apart with the most rudimentary of untying of knots,
Yes.
but it is fun.
Yeah,
It's a lot of
at
fun.
no point in this entire book does he ever try to be like, well, this is, here's a
Or
counter
offer
argument.
any evidence. Is his
all of his evidence is people know, or it's been discovered, or I talked to a cannibal.
Yeah.
Or I sat in my room and wrote it out and
I talked to a cannibal. Right.
He
tried to fuck me
has,
and then
he
eat
has
me.
talked to a cannibal, because on page 53 he writes, according to my own experience, about 20 hours after such a repast, eating a brain, there is a warmth of feeling in the brain, like a gentle pressure. After about 28 hours, the body is flooded by vitality with increased sexual impulses. So
and that happens after you eat any high fat meal.
yeah, oysters.
Yeah, oysters, heavy.
Yeah.
Your body goes.
The cat
"Hey,
after those pork brains is like,
Ooh, I'm gonna be mayor.
I gotta eat some pussy. In both ways.
So he's had his own experience eating brain, and that's probably what made him write the book, because he became so smart.
Jesus living Christ. You're
So-
saying this guy ate human brain?
Yes. And he has talked to cannibals and relatives of cannibals who have.
Yeah, and I mean,
This is
You,
what-
you ate disease brain, bro. You're fucking crazy. You ate the wrong brain. It was like that fish the other night.
I did fine.
No, you did fine. Other people did not.
Huh?
Other people.
Come on. Jesus, dude, this is
This is
such,
great. It's
this
great.
is such a long con.
It's not a con. He really believes this, and he expected people to follow him.
Well, don't you have to believe it after you ate a fucking human brain?
I suppose so.
Was it a human brain?
Yes.
Now, does it have to be human brain?
Yes.
Does he explain why?
I don't know if I'll touch on it, but if I don't, bring it up again.
Okay.
So
I'm sure it makes sense.
he goes on to say that so much brain was being eaten, and people were getting so smart that their brain was growing too much, and it reached capacity with the skull.
It was pulverizing the skull. They're not ready for the new brains.
There was all of this pressure on their skull.
Headache.
And so, that's where people start doing the trepanation, cutting the hole, trying to. And also, coincidentally, around this time, God was like, ooh, this is trouble. And so.
They ate from the tree of knowledge, which was brains.
That's what he writes.
Wait, explain.
He writes that in the Bible, the tree of knowledge, what they eat the apple is brain.
Right.
That's how they get the knowledge.
Right. Which is a sin.
Yes.
It's the sin. It's the original
Right.
sin. But he's saying this is when God intervenes, and
Right.
and I imagine banishes us from the garden.
No. This is after that. God seeing the people are so hurt by all of this pressure on their skulls.
We ate the brains, and the banishment happened much later.
I don't know, not the banishment. The God sees all of the brains getting too big and all the pressure on people, and so he floods.
Yeah.
He floods the earth, and he writes the Eurasians realize that this is God's wrath for cannibalism, and so they stopped eating brains after that. This is so 50,000 years ago.
Right.
Humans stopped eating brains because they saw God's wrath.
What about Papua New Guinea, though?
Well, that's
And also,
they didn't get
evidence
flooded.
shows
They
that
didn't
the
get
flood
flooded.
was more close to 12,000 years ago.
Yeah, they were surfing the flood.
Yeah.
And
So
Ken-
it was the Eurasians, he said, that realized.
no shit.
Yes.
Ain't that some shit?
I love it.
And so then he writes, after they stopped eating brains, they still had this giant brain, and he writes that man is naturally polygamous, but created marriage because this giant brain needed comfort of a couple. Even though it's naturally polygamous, it couldn't be polygamous anymore because it stopped eating brains, but it still needed that comfort. And then,
And you're saying comfort.
yes, and even then, in this couple relationship, they still weren't content, and that's why man created prostitution.
Oh.
Yes.
There's just I really like this because it's just a lot of like, well, then if this, then that. It's just all prognostication and no evidence base.
No,
Yes.
But it is pseudo-logically sound. It's just based on, it's just like one guy connecting dots.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's funny.
And also justifying your shit. You're like, listen, I ate some people and I fuck a lot. And let me tell you why.
It's because it's natural.
It's because it's God's plan. I'm not the weirdo here.
Yeah.
You guys are.
Around here, they call me Big Pun.
Yeah.
I can swim.
Listen, I don't eat people anymore, okay?
I'm not.
My skull's too small.
I have sex with prostitutes now,
I got a hole drilled
which
in
is
it,
fine.
and a little brain dick came out because it was the only pressure release point. But now I also I gotta hook up with prostitutes.
Right. So that section I should have had is part of his chapter 4, The Great Changes.
Oh yeah.
And so here's his summary of the Great Changes chapter.
This is rich.
The great changes which took place during the process of human development are symptoms of disease and the results of cannibalism. Man was forced to take emergency measures against these symptoms, but they cured the ill in only a makeshift kind of way and constantly brought about new trouble. This process whereby body and mind became sick is not yet concluded. So all of these brains fucked us up, and once we stopped eating them, we decided we had to find ways to solve the issues all of this intelligence created in us.
Right.
And so then we get into, all of these weird things that are happening in society. In page
Like war.
yeah, but also page 64. These abnormalities, homosexuality, masturbation, were undoubtedly not in existence while man was an ape. They came into being during his development into man, and they are hereditary. It has nothing to do with higher intelligence. In the course of the history of all mankind, more and more laws and social rules had to be introduced with the purpose of eliminating or curtailing the consequences of this sickness. Because men ate all these brains and started having sex, he then writes that men... This is also the chapter where he first notes that women were not given the brains.
Oh God.
Only men were given the brains.
Yeah.
And so only men ate the brains, and because they're so horny, this is why they orgasm before women.
Oh my God.
And then he writes, because in order for men to stop orgasming before women, circumcision
You gotta eat the pussy
circumcision was invented.
because it desensitizes.
Because it desensitizes.
Dude, this is so.
Holy shit.
This is the best pseudoscience explanation for everything.
Yeah, no, seriously, yeah, we got to put a silencer on your dick. Seriously, we have
No. You gotta make it a sawed off.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it's probably gonna suck for him now. He's never gonna know how good he had it.
But because the women don't have any brains, now these women like a circumcised dick because they're. Dude, this is the best. I love this.
I love dumb shit.
I love dumb shit that does it intelligently.
Yeah, but also like
this is as smart as dumb can be.
Yes.
so
great.
self-serving. Like,
oh my God, you wonder just like what was going on in this guy's life. Where it's like, well, I mean, the reason I come is because all the intelligence I have, and that's why I'm sorry. I come soon. I'm not gonna eat your pussy.
and just like, you know, the idea of like, oh, they didn't get the brains and we did, and we're
But that does serve. I mean, you could imagine that they wouldn't get the brains. That they would not let them have it. You could imagine, knowing what you know, that they would not serve them the brain. That's for us.
sure, yes.
I mean, so it fits into that as well. It's very, very good.
It just doesn't fit in the way that like
It doesn't fit into truth
It doesn't mean anything.
or fact in any way.
but it also
But it fits into that idea of only the tribal elders would get to eat the organ meat
Yes.
in Native American.
Well, and, you know, in the cannibalistic societies that he, or at least that he quote unquote studied, or one of the ones that he was near, the men eat the brains.
Yeah.
And the guy who they believe to be the smartest is the one that they kill, and cut off his head and eat those brains.
Jesus, living Christ.
That's regicide. Ritual regicide.
Yeah. But not the king, but the guy they think is the smartest. So there's a. I mean, you wonder how much of this was he took a vacation once and he's like, you know, I got 180
I
rooms.
saw this happen in a group of 100 people, and now I'm going to extrapolate that to all of humanity for all time.
Yes.
Cool.
It's like a meritocratic cannibalism. Like, it's like a thing where you go like,
Yeah.
you know, nobody could get fish that one time, and this dude was just reeling him in, and like
We got to get his power.
We got to get that motherfucker's brain,
Well, dude,
and like
okay, speaking of a fisher and fisher of men, I mean, what do you think the Christ mythology is? This guy was the best of us. Let's kill him, and now we eat him every Sunday.
Well, a lot of people would put that to the early Marxist thing too, of water into wine and people being provided for with luxuries they weren't.
Right, but I'm getting into the idea of ritualistic regicide and cannibalism.
Oh yeah.
It's still around.
Yeah, and almost
Happens every Sunday.
and almost people embracing it.
Almost? It's the most popular religion in the world.
No, what I'm saying, the person that would be cannibalized.
Oh, yes.
Enthusiastically to be like,
Yes.
you know,
Fine.
I mean,
with
there's
teach a man to fish kind of
There's a
thing. Right?
historical
Teach a man to eat
precedent
brains,
for willingness, willingly going to the sacrificial pyre.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, this is very good,
Yes.
very stupid pseudoscience, and I love it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
So you mentioned, you know, wars and stuff like that. So he writes, emotional worries, jealousy, murder motivated by sex, sexual deviancy and aberration, sex orgies, painful sexual rites, mutilation of the sex organ, castration, induced abortion, sexual sexual inhibitions and fears. All of these are exclusively human phenomena. Exclusive, that is, to the, quote, image of God. Sexuality rules human life. Social institutions, economic and political systems, and organized churches rise and fall for sexual reasons. Wars, fashion, literature, business, and behavior between individuals are influenced by man's diseased sex life.
Yeah, well, a lot of that stuff plays into like the human zoo thing.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
that,
like,
you
it's
know-
one of those things where it's like, yeah, a lot of these things are influenced by sex, but not diseased sex life.
Right.
It's
Right. Well, there's just a thing of like being like, once we are quote unquote imprisoned, even though it's not a prison because we choose it for comfort,
right.
that we have these like aberrations of, you know,
The expressions of our innate
expressions of our
are perverted because of the box we built for ourselves.
the innate savagery that we have still possess and did forever. But yeah, he's tying that in too.
It's really good.
Which is also very smart.
Right.
It's probably all because those brains he was eating.
And then he gets into a more specific sexism. The knowledge of all knowledge philosophy is a masculine domain. Women can learn and understand philosophical ideas and even act according to them, but they cannot conceive ideas of decisive significance and effect in this field. For this reason, all great thinkers, philosophers, and founders of religion were men, and so it will remain. If a woman is exceptionally successful in one of the fields of learning, then there is something wrong with her sex hormones. And then he explains that all of the intelligence has created the wrong goals of men, and therefore has made men stupider, and that is why women are able to gain a foothold in society.
Yeah. Do not even give that look.
It's funny.
It's very funny.
It's very funny. Men are dumb.
Yeah, but it's
Women.
He also says, for all great thinkers, philosophers, and founders of religion for men, where it's like...
Well, no, it's because women got pregnant.
Or no, it's also because they were whitewashed from history. It's like, it's nothing to do with like the reality of the
They also didn't have a chance to.
Right.
And it's not just whitewashing from history. It's just most women got pregnant by the time they were 15 and then were continuously knocked up until they died.
Right.
Yeah, but Aaron, I think you would agree that there is something to, like, you know,
And yes, there are many women that were erased from history, but also there also just weren't a lot of notable women because they didn't have the opportunity to be notable.
nor did the desire.
Oh, dude, sure.
You and I agree on this point.
Yes,
Like,
to want to be in power is
to want to be written of.
Yes.
is
madness.
Yes.
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 And like the female trait of being like, I would rather conspire with another woman in the village to have these two guys calm down because all they want to hear is echoes of their name.
Yes.
That they did some crazy thing that sucked for everyone. But I think you and I would both agree that in the tribal elder age, they come around much more to that thinking.
Oh yeah,
and
go talk to this wise lady. She's seen everything.
So there's some kind of thing there too, where like
soft power.
It's basically like everybody like coaching the young, strong male that they need something from to take care of them without getting too crazy.
Yes. No. He's taking.
But then they
truths that we know to be true,
Yeah.
and then just making it fit to this narrative. It's a master class in revisionist history.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It really is.
It's pseudoscience.
Dude, it's really good.
And so he says, women have not become cleverer, but men have become stupider. And he writes, to maintain that women are inferior because of their neglected education is to insult women. This represents women as imperfect creatures in need of repair. Women are not imperfect and not in need of repair. Rather, they are absolutely perfect for themselves, for their husbands, and for mankind.
Now this is getting very good because now he's painting himself as an ally.
Their tasks they carry out as in their role as women cannot be undertaken better by anyone.
What a fucking lunatic.
This guy's good.
Yeah. I'm telling you. I mean, listen, I ate brains. Ask me.
You don't want any part of it.
Yeah.
I am hoarding.
Stay out of here, Dewey.
Lady, I ate a lot of brains, and I'm telling you, ladies are perfect.
Just the way
You can't have any.
You don't want any of
Just
this.
me.
It just makes you smarter. Get out of here.
I'll eat anything. Cerebellum. You know what I mean?
Or her sister, fucking in Antibell.
Human intelligence is always bound up with delusions, which are generally more in evidence among men than women. Often a man gets involved in problems and loses his perspective and his sense of judgment. He is then led into error by anger, vindictiveness, and absurd insistence on imaginary rights. Because of her special intelligence, a woman can restrain him from desperate actions, provided she is a true woman. And not a forcibly emancipated creature.
The fuck does that mean?
A forcibly emancipated creature?
She knows her place.
Oh,
God.
She's not Jane Fonda.
Forcibly emancipated is maybe one of the best oxymorons.
Yes,
of all.
Yeah. Yeah, she was made to be free.
Yeah, exactly.
She didn't choose chains.
Yeah.
But he's saying that she still would be more wise than the man that ate all the brains that she wasn't allowed.
Yeah. He's saying that men have in their goals they've become so
they get into ego and
and it takes a woman to bring them down to earth.
It's a great mythology this guy's writing.
Yeah. like if
And you're gonna tell us the title at the end.
yes, if this was a whole nother planet, like, and he had written this as fiction of like a world he created, it would be, you know,
Dude, it's
an amazing place to start off so many stories.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I think this is Guardians 3.
he's got
I think it ties right into the Eternals.
He's got like I mean, borderline like fucking like full scripture from like the dawn of consciousness to.
It's great.
Well, I mean, you know, as that one reviewer said, it is a better explanation than the Bible.
Which isn't saying much.
No.
But no, but it's good.
So one reviewer you won't reveal.
Yes, because you will.
This is really nice.
Because
I'll tell you later.
know.
I'll tell you later. Because I don't. You know, there's a fun little Easter
All right,
egg.
hit me.
So he also then goes to explain this intelligence.
Alan Moore.
All of his intelligence brought on shame, and this is why men started to hide their testicles.
Right, which is eating of the fruit of the tree of knowledge and good and evil is
Right,
when they started wearing clothes.
Also, yes. And then
I thought it was the big ball theory.
you wish.
That big ball shit.
And so now he's like, now men wear this tight underwear, which is hurting their sexual parts.
Maybe you, bro.
And then, for some reason, he then takes another side step to explain, you know, he goes back to the loss of hair and he explains why different types of people have different types of noses. And then he puts a whole pictograph of pictures of humans and, you know, racially diverse, usually humans, with pictures of monkeys. And he writes separated from birth. Separated at birth.
Oh, good. Yeah, smart.
Yes. Yeah.
But
I've seen this.
A lot of them aren't white. But he, you know, he's like, well, you know, this society has bigger noses because when they lost the hair, they needed to breathe more because to get rid of the heat.
This guy's taking on a lot.
Yeah, he decided that
This guy's really going for
he
it.
had a base of an idea, and he's decided he would. And then now we're in. I believe we're in chapter. No, we're still in the great changes. There's a lot of changes. Then he says. The meat map of the world gives the answer. It gives both the timetable and the sequence of the stations of our downfall.
The meat map?
And he says, he lists off a bunch of countries and their meat consumption. And the worst one, the one that eats the most meat is the United States. And he says, this is the country that is the most corrupt, the one that has taken this problematic humanity, this diseased mind,
Interesting.
the furthest. And he starts making a case that, well, animals, we were originally vegetarians, and you can see, and so he starts saying, well, the brains led to more meat eating, and the more they ate the brains, and the more they ate the meat, the more the disease and he says that the more
they were on Wall Street.
One of the reasons that religions would tell people not to eat meat was because that it was dirty and diseased, and
Right, yeah.
And so again, you know, there's that little
kernel of truth. Yeah,
little thing.
totally. But it was because people were dying of botulism and not
yes,
getting fucking crazy smart off
yes,
goat brains.
Yeah, and he completely, I imagine he completely neglects the discovery and manipulation of fire throughout this whole thing. As
yes, he never mentions fire. Never mentions fire. Never mentions the change in protein between cooked
and uncooked, and how much time you spend chewing it, which gives you time to figure out other shit.
Nor mad cow disease and CJD.
Right.
Yeah. Or you know, there's being able to the way that cooked food lasts a little bit longer,
Yes.
and so you have a little more time to not hunt.
Mad cow disease, by the way, listeners, if unaware, cow being fed cow, mad cow disease,
Prions,
CJD, the human form, which happens in places with no cows if there is cannibalism present.
And so in chapter 5, it's called The Damaged Brain. And he writes about how the brain, because it got so big, there was pressure on it, and it lost the original abilities it had of ESP. And
How did you know that?
He started saying the word extra.
Wow.
Well, because my brain's big. Check out the big brain on. I mean, what else was he going to say?
My brain is small and petite.
Like a fillet.
yeah,
Mine's big and prime, like a rib.
I require
Adam's
I
rib.
require elaboration.
I request elaboration.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, just fill in the blanks here.
yeah. And
And now explain ESP.
Well, it's the ability to
read minds, see the future.
it's the ability to take in ideas from outside your head by
Outside of the 5 senses that we know about.
by basically they're just floating
Any of
around.
my
They're just floating
5
around the air,
senses.
and as you walk near them or through them, they come into your brain.
Ah,
It's not you thinking; it's you accepting.
right.
It's your brain just soaking them up.
It's a Wi-Fi net.
It's a Wi-Fi net. And he says that because of this brain growth, there was a disease part of the brain that stopped us from being able to accept these things. And the ones that were able to accept them were people like Buddha and Jesus. And it was probably because
They were vegetarian.
they had an accident that damaged that part of the brain.
The disease part.
Yes.
They got CTE on the
Yes.
diseased part.
And that's why so many
What a
so many
roundabout
football-
fucking way.
so many football color guys are really brilliant. Is because
Football what, guys?
so many guys who do the color.
Color commentary.
Yeah, that's why
not,
Emmett Smith.
not football colored guys.
Emmett Smith, noted genius with his 25 concussions. Because his brain can now accept all of these other ideas.
Yeah.
Oh.
Joe Namath, too.
Yeah.
Boy, I could kiss you right now.
Well, we talked about the other thing that I told you.
This is rich.
My friend Alyssa had the opposite viewpoint where she was saying the people post mental trauma. She was going and she's like, this is going to sound kind of woo-woo, but she was mad into astrology and stuff. She goes, it was people believing that their third eye had been damaged.
Yes, right.
And then that's why they, after some accident then became a serial killer or, some people will get hit in the head and become pedophiles after.
Right.
Convenient. But no, it is true.
Yeah.
Some people forget how to do math.
Right.
Don't
Talk in an accent.
Yeah.
That,
Getting hit in the thing that does your thinking and your personality
Emmett Smith
and memory.
being smarter after is
He is not. No,
He is not.
He's very.
Oh,
stupid.
I thought you.
No,
I
he's
was
being
kidding.
sarcastic.
oh, okay.
Smith is very. He's bad at explaining football. That's how much his brain has been. Maybe he wasn't that smart to begin
Well,
with.
90% of the game is half mental.
Yes, well, that's Yogi Bear, and that's,
Right.
that's
It's
baseball.
meant to, man. It's absolutely
But they gave
meant
it to Madden in the game.
Yeah.
He just does all these Barrett-isms and then.
Oh, it's it's great.
You're gonna see here.
You gotta hit the hole hard. Boom.
And I might predict the guy that puts the most points on the board is gonna win the game.
And so he writes.
Bang!
He writes that there are even today there are still people.
Is Madden dead?
no.
No, I don't.
You
think,
would fucking know.
I don't think he's dead, but he's
But
not
he
doing that.
is-
He's gone.
He is gone.
Yeah.
John, he was so big.
Dude, I know.
What are you playing? Madden?
Dude, he fucking.
What?
Yeah,
My
you don't say
cousin.
football. You say I'm playing Matt.
My cousin worked in the
Madden.
the Yoko Lennon building. What's it called?
The what?
The Yoko Lennon building in New York.
Oh, the Yoko Lennon building.
What the fuck is it called? It's got like a
The
famous
Ambassador Hotel or something?
wherever
that's
like
LA.
wherever Lennon was shot.
Oh,
The
okay.
alley.
The
Street.
it was a Louis C.K. joke. He goes, "This is how good Manhattan real estate is." He goes, "John Lennon got shot out there. Yoko never left."
Yeah.
The Dakota.
The Dakota. Okay.
But my cousin was working there, and Madden lived there too, and he called him coach and shit.
Yeah,
like
of course.
it was,
Of course.
it's like one of those like celebrity buildings. You know what I mean?
Huh.
Yeah.
But
Man, living in a hotel is nice, huh?
no, it wasn't a hotel. It was an apartment building. But,
Some of these people live in hotels.
yeah.
I don't want to live. No, I don't. The beds aren't that comfortable. Oh, I don't pay enough
Dude,
money.
well,
To,
you-
yeah. Okay. I take it back. I take it back
Come
immediately.
stay a night with me, pal.
Do it.
In a hotel.
Can't be that comfortable. He's like tongue in my ear the whole time.
No, I'm not going to sleep in the same
Oh,
bed.
God. Okay.
I mean, if you want.
I sleep in the tub.
I'm just going to stand in the corner and watch you sleep.
Oh yeah.
I'll be in the foyer.
I'll be in the mini fridge.
He writes that even today he says there. You know when he writes this, and he writes this in the late '60s. And he writes that even today there are people, who are Buddha and Jesus, and he writes
They're just homeless.
he writes, it just so happens that the person will receive quote less publicity in the West than many a sex star with a bust of diseased proportions.
Our prophets don't get as much. The real we're paying too much attention to your
Tits.
Pamela Andersons and your whatnot.
But no,
Yeah.
I listen. I don't hate this.
No, I mean, he's not wrong, but like the fact that he's calling fake tits disease proportions.
Well, no, just like in the thing of like one time, my aunt said my aunt said to me, she goes, she's from County Kerry in Ireland. She says, she goes, how many people do you think that we've lost? That might have been something like a Van Gogh due to like the mental illness drugs. And I was like, that's a great question.
Fine question.
Yeah.
I was like that.
Yeah.
I was like, how? Wow. Yeah. Fuck.
Sure.
I mean, obviously you don't want all those people to suffer, so you get one Van Gogh. But I was like, valid question.
Also, he killed himself, so
Yeah. Well, he definitely cut his own ear off.
he didn't really have that great of a time.
I thought he
making
died of
us
syphilis.
making it. Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
you're right.
They
But
did
he
kill his ear.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. He
But
murked it.
it's not like he had that great of a time. Like we've had
Oh, no,
more
he-
enjoyment from Van Gogh.
Oh, yeah.
Go-
No, he
Van
lived.
Gogh down at the old Amoeba building. See it now. Immersive Van Gogh.
He
Go
lived
check
in
it out.
immense suffering, and the only person while he was living that bought his work
It was
was,
his brother.
I believe, his brother.
Yeah.
Through an intermediary to make it look like it wasn't him.
It's a good brother.
Yeah, well, maybe he was just enabling a fucking weirdo.
So, as we get through the damaged brain, and at the end of the damaged brain, he writes, in our own day, man is surrendered totally to matter and does not recognize anything which he cannot measure. Cosmic truths concerning immaterial substances and their effect are brushed aside as superstitions by spiritually backward societies which are devoid of philosophy. I think he's kind of writing that, being like, "Oh, you don't agree with me? Well,
You're just not as enlightened.
obviously."
But I think it's also a thing of the more civilized secular society doesn't give credit to crazy shit, which is true, but also like
Right.
I think we all agree that that's healthier for everyone.
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of in that same vein, not exactly what Uriah was saying, but in that same vein of the stuff that is outside of the accepted range is forced into it,
Yeah.
and they won't accept.
But even like forcing everyone to kind of go along with a non-spiritual theme, I think is maybe some of the stuff that births things like Q.
Yes,
And like a thing of like
Yeah.
I'm the only one that knows the truth.
right,
Right.
and that's
And,
why
like-
those catch on
Right.
so much.
And that's what we were talking about earlier about.
Don't take it home.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
We have an innate need for something like that.
Yes.
And when you box out that realm, it will just pop up like a whack-a-mole in some other fashion. So we have this innate evolved tendency for belief.
Right.
Yes,
But how
And-
do you think?
And when in general, we're a more materialist society than we've ever been.
Well, but so you can see that in your own humanity, for instance. Where do you think you push that need for belief in your own life?
I can't speak on a case by case basis. I'm talking.
No. But I'm just saying, like, I mean, for instance, like when you could like come across some of the shit about like the new UFO shit. I think that's like a way.
I want to believe stuff.
Well, you get an outlet for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think what is considered like the more secular man is considered to not.
Where would I? What are you asking me? Where? Like when I read like Joseph Campbell stuff or Carl Jung or watch Marvel movies.
Yeah, but I'm saying
That's where it comes out.
right. But where do you want it to go?
For myself, or what do you mean? Where do I want to see it?
Like what do you think is the thing where you go like, oh well, now like I'm believing, I'm dreaming, I'm yearning for something.
I think that's the point. There is no other point than that, or other than to maybe find something new and bring it back for everybody else, right? Like that's the goal of all artists or shamans or spiritual people, is to go outside the boundary, find something new and bring it back.
Yeah, to me, I think,
And that's Campbell 101 right there.
yeah.
And it's just like,
Campbell.
To me, I think it's like common understanding is the thing I would be like, that is the goal. If I had like a faith, a thing of like, oh, like a dream, I would be like, just like everybody getting on the same page is like where I would say that I posit my faith. And that's like a thing like,
I don't think I like what you're saying, but I don't understand how that relates to your question.
because that would be my answer
To
where do you put that need for faith and belief in something. And it doesn't have to be like, for some people it's just that the Twin Towers were blown up by Bush. And like for me, I'm just like, if we actually do enough work, we can actually make progress as a race and a people by getting on the same page. And
right, but that's dangerous. Like, to have one page is dangerous, right? Like,
yeah, but it is and it isn't. Obviously there's
no such thing as a utopia, because for one person it'll be hell.
Yes.
Right.
But the language being the same, I think, is the most important thing,
English.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, to just be like, trust in each other, empathy for each other, realizing like everybody that's the villain doesn't think they are. They think they're the hero, like getting somewhere there. And I think that's where people that are considered like godless, secular scientists are actually positing like what would be their faith. I think they're like actually some of the most faithful people. And I think they get kind of like drowned out by people that are like much more like shrill about dogmatic things, and they don't understand, no, these people are actually working for common good.
Right. It's not faith, but it's not faith because they have evidence, but they are working selflessly.
Yes. And on the basis of like, I won't be here, but tomorrow will be better for somebody that is. Yeah, I think it's the most faithful thing that you can do is to be that person.
Yeah, the people that built like
yes, exactly.
The Masons that built, cathedrals. You're not going to be there to, if you're starting to build a cathedral,
the 500,
you're not going to be there to see it be finished.
The 5th century cathedral that it takes 5 centuries to build it. The guy who puts that first stone in,
generations will go by. Before it's ever completed. You're doing this
is really that's.
It really is. I mean, if you've never seen the fucking Gothic cathedral or Notre Dame or anything in Europe, or the fucking pyramids for that matter, it's a testament to a few things. One of which is selflessness.
Yes.
I won't be here to see this thing finish.
And that is the thing I would say about, the modern stuff.
Also, I'm hungry.
Of like needing like the reassurance of Q versus being like, I just want, I'll be dead, but these kids like, they're gonna burn up with climate change. If I can make it better for them, I will. And one is, I need immediate reward or I don't.
I need to feel like I'm right.
Superior.
It's immediate. It's an immediacy.
Yes.
Yes. It's gimme.
Yes. We have these drives, right? We have these innate drives and we have these innate evolved tendencies, and they can be exploited based on context. There's that thing, we're getting a little off track here, but and I'll be
no, but it's only the thing of like, the wheelhouse of like
everything that we have in us, it gets expressed different based on what context we're in. And that faith thing, the faith or religion gene or set of genes we have can be in one context beautiful and bond forming, and on the other hand it can be exploited to commit genocide.
Yes.
Right.
And it's all about context, and I'm sorry we derailed a little bit,
okay.
But
it's kind of fun.
But God is good.
I do think that being a faithful person is not, just like, being like inconsolably dogmatic about stuff. I think faith is like so much more layered and nuanced.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Than that. And like, there is a thing of like, you can get so like fucking like atheist that you go like, well, what the fuck are you even doing anything for? You know what I mean? Like, you got to have faith that like,
You gotta have faith.
You want to make things better for like tomorrow. Like, I mean, you got to have some kind of belief.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you hope so.
Is this the boast of our fabled science?
Is this a conclusion of our yesterdays?
The invention of the wheel?
It will be, but let's take a quick little break, and then I'll finish this.
I am telling you that I am having a good time.
Yeah.
It's real nice.
And if you're a listener and you're not, find another show.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
But also, yeah,
I mean, episode.
it does. The mythology stuff is really deep.
This is right up in the Profiles wheelhouse episode.
I'm very excited about what you guys are doing with this.
I can't believe you thought I was gonna hate it. I love this shit. Man, this is my bread and butter, man.
Well, that's why I thought you might hate it.
And I hate carbs. I hate carbs.
You know,
But hold on. Let's.
all right,
take a break?
We'll take a break, but I just want to say really quick before we go that supporting Aaron's thing of saying that he would like a perverted analysis of history. He was talking just the other night about looking on the miracles of Christ as like a superhero story.
Yeah.
Because he's mimicking previous like biblical heroes' miracles and stuff, and like just being like, if you just took like all the religion and idolatry out of it, you'd be if this was a Captain America movie, you'd be like, oh, he learned.
It's fan service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The New Testament is fan service for all of the Old Testament prophets.
Yeah.
And it's like, Patreon.
Right. We'll be back, folks. just a few minutes. And we're back.
All right. So, I want to quickly go through he has a couple other theories before he gets into the end of his ideas. You know, this is a book that's just a little over 200 pages. He really packs in a lot here.
Efficient.
This Maerth.
Not a lot of fat. Unlike the brain.
Maybe he wrote one page in each room of his. This is Chapter 6, Speech. I'm just going to read the summary of the chapter. Speech is not a result of higher intelligence, but a makeshift substitute for the lost ability to communicate by thought transference.
I've heard this.
The sounds made by animals are not rudimentary languages, but only alert cries calling upon their fellows to tune their brains for thought reception.
I hate him.
See, I finally got to the thing. Yes, so...
I mean, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, but it's so...
It's good because animals communicate in different ways.
Animals never, except for like the Berenstain Bear.
Yeah, but it's still communication, even with like the orca and stuff.
Oh, whales have.
Yeah.
Yes.
We don't even know. We don't even know exactly.
And they have accents.
How dolphins there's so much we don't know about how
with the whales are like the fucking distancing of travel is fucking incredible.
Yeah,
we found a way to use the hole that we stuff food down to make noises.
Yeah.
That other human beings could understand.
Yeah.
That is that is magic. I mean,
yeah.
I make a
to
noise.
be able to get to stuff more shit down it.
I can
like to survive
food, brains, and whatever you want.
In order to order more food.
I'll suck your cock.
All you guys.
Yeah.
That took millions of years to get that sentence. To write that sentence took millions of years.
It's the secondary. It's the secondary purpose for that organ. Speech is an added benefit,
right,
to the mouth.
Right.
It's not its primary purpose, and it performs magic.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyways, this guy thinks it's bullshit.
Well, he says on page, in this chapter, he writes, page 161, he writes, as a loss of telepathic communication first occurred in Mesopotamia, because cannibalism,
proof, where?
And human development with it started there, the earliest languages developed there too. And so he's saying we had to start talking because...
We couldn't
because as our big brains lost the ability to suck in, and
why did we lose the ability?
Because our brains got so big.
Brains.
Oh yeah, and we hit the skull.
Yeah, and we couldn't accept what he called the prana rays, and prana is an Indian prana rays. Yes,
the prana is the Indian version of chi.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So he says that we could all, that's why all animals can accept that, and we can't anymore because our brains have gotten too big. Because of the brains we've eaten.
Oh, man, he's stretching now.
And that's why every time you eat frog's legs, your legs grow. He didn't write that.
True.
I just thought of that now. And then chapter 7 is called The Origin of Races.
Oh boy.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, we could be in trouble here.
I'm not going to get too far into it. I'm just going to
No.
Yeah.
I'm just going to read his all caps
Does
summary.
he use the word mongoloid?
No,
I guarantee.
he doesn't.
Oh, well, it'd be cool if he did.
He doesn't.
Shit.
I mean, he's written this in the 70s. I think he has a kind of like,
He's woke?
even when he's writing about women, he's still like, no, they're really great for being women. They're just not as smart as
perfect.
us.
So in this one, he's like, some of my best friends are black.
Yeah.
My lawyer's Jewish.
He writes this is his summary of this is his all caps summary of the chapter. The first human being had his origin in the crossbreeding of an African and an Asian hominid ape. This crossbreed and his descendants possessed the rare ability to interbreed with the breeds of either parent, and with other related breeds of ape. They were the first cannibals. Through crossing with related breeds of ape, they became men and cannibals at the same time. Many of the original characteristics and attributes of the various breeds of ape remained visible and operative in spite of the interbreeding. For this reason, there are many human races with differing appearances.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what this sounds a lot like? Not a lot like. A little bit like. Elijah Muhammad, who started the Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
And their book, Mr. God, is it something Fard, who wrote the founding document of the nation, not the Quran and not Islam, but the Nation of Islam. They have some weird bullshit stuff about race and whiteness and blackness, and it is fucking bonkers. It is some hateful, bonkers, ignorant
It always
shit.
works its way to superiority.
Oh, dude, it's fucking...
You're right.
It sounds a lot like this.
So this is the chapter where he has the pictures of man and monkey, and he talks about brain size, but
They do the same shit with Bush
it's
and Obama. Pictures them doing this. It's like, oh,
right,
that
yeah. I
monkey.
mean, there's so many pictures of He writes on page 192. He writes, on the subject of race, realization of the following fact is of importance. The color of the skin has absolutely nothing to do with the level of intelligence. Which race is more intelligent depends only
How many brains they ate.
on when their ape ancestors were transformed into cannibal human beings and how often they
It's
practiced
the most
cannibalism.
woke bullshit ever, and I love it.
Yeah.
Dude, that is snake eating its own tail of unwokeness.
Look, I'm not racist.
Listen,
I'm just
I hate
saying.
everybody.
listen. If we just find out tomorrow that Korean guys ate more brains than everybody,
No, they're the daddy now.
we should probably give them first vote on stuff. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, if new shit comes to light,
I don't know who ate the most brains.
Let's
I'm just
find
saying
out.
if we find out.
I'm just opening new ideas.
it
I'm
could be-
sorry. I'm sorry.
I don't care if you're.
I don't know where monkey eat.
Yeah.
I don't know where monkeys eat.
Yeah. all
I don't know where. But if they eat brains,
Listen, I don't care if you're, Inuit.
or you're not,
Go for it.
I don't
for
care
it.
if you're not into it.
But just did your great grandfather, not mother, eat mad brain?
Yeah, it's like
Now, but was it bad brains?
Was it?
And was it punk rock?
but your skin color does not have anything to do with intelligence. Only
The level
when
of
when the people your
Yeah.
Dude, that
ancestors ate
is
brains.
great.
yeah, the level of mania displayed by your ancestors. But so then he's got to know about modern cannibalistic societies, a la Papua New
Why
Guinea.
you keep bringing up Islam?
Yes. Well, yes, because he ate brains with at least
One
one
of these
them.
motherfuckers.
Some of those guys.
Yes.
But we should know that modern cannibalism really is and historical cannibalism is really just a direct result of like how much complete protein is available within like the area that these people live in.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
It's a survival instinct.
Right, but if
It doesn't happen when there's rabbits running around and shit.
right,
Like,
but in the modern era, if you were going to say that was all that mattered,
would you be like Papua New Guinea is like at the forefront of?
But they don't do it for survival now. Now that cannibalism, if it even can exist, is ritualistic and symbolic only in nature.
Well, he writes this.
I mean, the Eucharist is cannibalism, technically.
On the same page, he writes this about New Guinea. If the crossbreeding of two breeds of ape had taken place in New Guinea and cannibalism had originated there, then New Guinea would be the focal point of the world today and not Eurasia.
Uh-huh.
The missionaries and researchers would come from New Guinea to Eurasia and destroy the way of life built up by the Eurasians on the basis of their own intellectual abilities.
Because they would have been doing it for so long.
Yes, and force upon them their supposedly more progressive one. White men are doing this today in New Guinea and in other areas where indigenous inhabitants are not able to defend themselves against this act of humanity.
There's not enough guys.
For each race, the best and most suitable culture and civilization are those which they have themselves been able to construct on the basis of their own mental abilities and their own surroundings. So he's so close.
Yeah.
But so
far away.
He's going, those guys would win if not for earlier those guys' grandparents ate all those brains.
This guy was trying to write Guns, Germs, and Steel, but ended up writing Brains, Brains, and Brains.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
Dude, what a double feature.
Yeah. He's writing Lawyers, Brains, and Money.
I went home with the waitress.
Their brains like I always do. I built a cage out of her bones.
I went home with an apetress.
Get me out of this, please.
So
His hair was perfect. Ha!
look out.
A lot of Warren Zevon.
The best.
I should have knew Grey from today. It was so dope. Jesse hit me with a mix.
You were trying to do what?
Jesse hit me with a mix and it had like a Warren Zevon song I hadn't heard before today.
What song was it?
I mean,
some bullshit.
It was dope. I'll look it up before we end, but it was really fucking good. I had never heard it before, but also I don't dabble too much.
G.G. Allen covered him.
Yes. In shit, right?
That ain't it.
You're going to go there. Yeah.
So I'm going to skip to chapter 8, which is called Genesis. And here's his all caps description.
Phil Collins.
Here's his description here's a summary of Genesis. All caps. Genesis describes pictorially the unnatural development of hair-covered ape into a naked human being by means of cannibalism. Sexual desire leads him astray, and the fruit of knowledge is eaten. Knowledge grows, but in the brain there come to be delusions which cause man to solve imaginary material troubles by means of agonizing work. This is an inherited curse which bears down on all his descendants. Man will devastate the earth and destroy himself.
So
I should have read that last part. Man will devastate the earth and destroy himself.
So that's in reference to in Genesis is God's punishment upon Adam and Eve is expulsion from the Garden of Eden.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And now you will
because ignorance is bliss.
Toil by the sweat of your brow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
it's really a story about it's hunting and gathering, changing into agricultural revolution.
Yes.
As opposed to feeding off the fruit of the earth, working relatively little through your day, getting all that you need from just what's around.
Sure.
Now back-breaking work.
That's Bible Genesis. His Genesis is mental Genesis.
Right, but I'm referring to what he's talking about, the toil.
Right,
right.
But I'm saying that the analogous is his is all mental Genesis.
Mm-hmm. And I'm Sega Genesis.
Don't you think it's also just like everything was easy and then you looked into the mysterious and now everything's hard and like that's how
you ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Well, you grew up.
Yeah, it's the Promethean fire stuff.
You took over responsibility for your own shit.
Right. Yeah. It really depends on your interpretation.
I raised you.
Yeah.
It depends on your
you rebelled against me.
Now go on.
And now you're in this other shit.
Oh, you want to be God now? Go. Try it.
And you go like, yeah.
Let me know how that works.
And you're like, how like...
if you read the Bible like a comic book, it's really entertaining.
I mean,
don't put any stock into it.
No, I mean the moment you describe it in that sort of sense, you're like, this is just someone writing about the time that their kids grew up, and like, Dad, I don't want to live here anymore.
Yeah,
I mean that's the whole.
Getting thrown out by your parents was like a rite of passage.
It's such a psychological journey. don't believe it as fact. Just read it like a myth, and it's fine.
Yeah, it's the kid up the street, that told me Santa wasn't real, and my mom looking at him and just grilling him.
Yeah.
And like
She was a cannibal, huh?
Yeah.
She grilled him up?
Yeah, she grilled him up.
Greatest
man.
Medium rare.
That's why John's so smart. All those
Got some
brains.
crab apples.
All those
Yeah.
brains,
Yeah.
Got some crab apples from the tree of knowledge.
So
And then they fulfill that also, there's 2 trees in the garden. There's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and there's the tree of everlasting life. Eventually, that loop is fulfilled by Christ on the cross being the fruit of everlasting life, of which you eat at the end to become immortal.
Nice.
lupus.
Right.
Chapter 9 is the last chapter. It's called The Immediate Future. And now that he has written his opus and he is
This is Mr. Holland.
so this is so this
The
is
immediate future getting fucked by me.
and so this is where he describes what we need to do to not
Perish.
yes. And
Like the fruit?
so throughout, the last 3 or 4 chapters, he keeps mentioning more meditation and yoga and vegetarianism. And remember, this is a guy who made a shit ton of money in Hong Kong as a businessman and then wore Tibetan robes, wrote this in a monastery in Tibet, smoked cigarettes nonstop, had millions of dollars, bought a villa that he then fixed up in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Fixer upper. What? Do we know how he made his money in Hong Kong?
There's just the only
Opium, probably. Got it.
yes. Who knows? I know
Who's to say?
We'll find out later once you tell us more about it.
I wish I knew. I could not find. Maybe his name is
All
different.
right, let's go.
Chapter 9. This is his description. Every individual human being, no matter what race or society he belongs, must alter himself radically, satisfy his only true material needs, work only for these, turn to a simple, healthy way of life linked as far as that is still possible with nature. This applies first and foremost to the people of the West. Man will perceive that, in so doing, he is making no sacrifice. Quite the contrary. He is liberating himself from all the false needs forced upon him, for which he has previously senselessly worked, making his life harder than it need be. And he goes on to explain that the United States is obviously the top of the wicked list,
Right.
and needs to embrace the philosophies of the East, of India and China. And even says that Europe has
Even the Koreans.
Europe has turned their back on China despite there being way more people in China.
And being older.
And history. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he says people need to get back to vegetarianism and meditation
Get back to the land.
and yoga. Yes, meanwhile,
the proverbial move out of the city.
yes, move out of your 180 room villa.
Right.
Yeah. You guys need to
yeah,
do
you
this.
guys.
Me, I'm
I am
fine.
I am very content here
I'll
in
sacrifice my enlightenment by staying in my mansion for,
Well, it was
for
the thing,
your
yeah,
sake.
Yeah.
This thing too we were talking about, we were going about Gaddafi is he would do the Bedouin
Yes.
tent thing, but his tent would be fucking
The sweetest
glamping on a level you've never seen before.
It's like Burning
But because
Man.
he did it, it was oh, he's such a man of the people.
Wow, look at him go.
Yes.
With his 15 women in berets and M16s.
Yeah, which is cool.
As
Pretty dope.
Cassia writes, Meredith's final words could have easily come from the lips of a crystal-wearing vegetarian, an environmental activist chained to a tree, or an urban flock of pierced, tattooed teenagers.
You've got his final words?
Those were kind of his final words.
Really?
Well, yeah, I
I'm
mean,
going to send it up.
Like written words,
that summary, so, okay, I'll read the last 2 paragraphs then.
Of this book,
Of this book.
of which we do not know the title.
Not yet.
Sick.
For the youth of today, the command, therefore, is to ignore all prognoses and directions differing from this. The idea that I just stated.
Yeah.
Coming from specialists, experts, politicians, and any such spiritual ephemerae. They must free themselves from the tyranny of the demi-intellectuals and calmly go their ways, turn towards the rising sun, which offers the chance of survival.
Turn to the east.
When they rise up, 3 billion people will wish these young people success. And when they attain their goal, 6 billion people who want to live on this planet tomorrow in a worthy way of man will cry out aloud with joy.
He's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong.
Embrace, we live in a Western world, and I'm a Western girl. But, take the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I mean, embrace all of it, right?
Yeah, well, the
best
of both.
The best of both, yes.
Both have
Agreed.
problems.
Yes.
Take the good out of both. Make a nice
gumbo.
I would call it a gumbo. You'd probably call it a melting pot or some bullshit. But I think a nice stew is good.
Yeah. Do you?
Or maybe
underhanded comments?
maybe even a shepherd's pie or
Well, I'm trying real hard to be the shepherd.
And I'm just a fucking Baba black sheep.
You're the weak, and I am the tyranny of evil man.
Have you any wool?
So that's the end of the book
Called
The Beginning Was the End.
Huh.
Intelligence Can Be Eaten.
Oh.
Subtitle.
Yes.
Yeah. The publisher was like, let's throw that under.
Yeah.
And the reviewer, the man who said this is a better explanation than the Bible, he was a bass player, John.
A bass player.
And a keyboardist.
And a keyboardist.
And a singer and a multi-instrumentalist. And his name...
Bob Dylan!
His name is Gerard Cassell.
No.
Who is that?
Yes.
Who's that?
From Devo. He's like Mark
Cool.
Mothersbaugh and Cassell are like... And then they both have brothers named Bob that are Bob 1 and Bob 2 in Devo. Like, one of them just passed away recently, but...
I love it.
Gerard Cassell was... he still is...
Devo meaning devolution.
Yeah.
And they put out a piece called Beginning is the End.
No
Was
shit.
The End.
You got the song, you're going to play it for us on the way out?
Oh, I don't know if it's a song, actually.
Oh, they just have a piece?
It's just like Ape War. It's audio of just...
What do you mean they have a piece?
Oh, it is, they quoted from this book. They memorized all of those beginnings of chapters, and they would joke to each other about them.
yeah.
They said they heard about this book, and they went to a bookstore, and they're like, "Hey, we're looking for this book," and the guy was like,
What do you want that for?
the guy was like, "What are you guys?
Come on
are you
down,
guys
buddy.
fascists?"
Come
And they're
on
like,
down to
"No,
the
we just
basement.
heard about it.
We
It sounded
just love
interesting."
brains, man.
We like weird shit.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with being into weird shit.
and
If it was perverse, get it. You know who had shit that was shunned and perverse was the Nazis in a fucking like art gallery where they're like, here's the art of the perverse.
yeah.
Like, if it's fucked up, get it. And that
Hold on to that shit.
and that includes fucking like shit about like people talking about like Mein Kampf on Amazon. I'm like, let that shit breathe forever.
Yeah, do you want it to go hide away and fester?
Yeah, and like people think like, oh, there must be something to it if it's like illegal.
Yes.
Like, and you're like, no, it's
Show
just,
the absurdity.
it's just one dumb bastard that
Sunlight is the
sucked.
best disinfecting.
Yes.
Let it out.
So I should have looked this up. But the first music video Devo ever made was called "The Truth About De-Evolution." Full title: In the beginning was the end. The truth about de-evolution.
Oh, well, that might be the title of like their thing, like encompassing it all.
The first music video for the band Devo
Oh, really?
was that.
For sure.
Yes.
Interesting. Because the DVD collection had the same title of like all their early shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I feel like
And it's really scary.
And Cassell says, he said it was. They read it and he said it was a better explanation than the Bible, so it became our Bible.
Right.
That's pretty cool, man. I feel like there was something in that Super Mario Brothers movie with Dennis Hopper where they did a Devo thing where they like devolved people into the reptiles.
Probably into mushrooms.
Well, there is
Ooh.
mushrooms in that. There's like the Mushroom King. Like there is. I think we got to revisit that movie because it's one of those things where like, hey, man, they might have been on something, even though it's dog shit.
Yeah.
There might have been. They're really going for it. And Johnny Legs.
I love Johnny Legs.
They got the fungus thing. They got the devolution. They got the lizards. A whole
And
nine.
Hopper is a
And I think
motherfucker.
they have Bridget Fonda.
Hoskins and Hopper is a real.
Oh, so it's a film. Sorry, it's a film.
It's a film.
Yes, yeah.
The Truth About De-Evolution.
Because they actually
is the partial name for the film. The full name is in the beginning was the end.
Yeah, and they actually start with films before they have actual musical demos. So like the only band, because they were art school kids, that went to video first before audio tape.
Oh, okay.
Because they were like pioneering all that shit and like real weirdos, and they were also at Kent State when those kids got shot.
Yes.
So like they're
by a guy who really did have a diseased brain.
yeah.
That guy at the top of the fucking tower at Kent State.
No.
You're thinking of
I'm thinking.
Kent State is the National Guard.
National
Tin
Guard.
soldiers.
Yeah.
Nixon's coming.
That's
Charles Whitman.
Charles Whitman in
yeah.
Austin. Yeah.
in Austin, not Kent State.
But you're right. Yes, he did have a diseased brain.
I mean,
But also, you could say those National Guardsmen have a disease brain too. Who
absolutely.
fucking knows?
Do you want to take us out on this?
Sure.
Play us out, Matt.
So I'll just play.
The Rugrats theme.
It's got to be so fucking early, like 74. It might be like the same year as Kent State.
Sorry about the UT Austin thing. Sorry.
Dude, they were creepy at first. Like, Sanitized Devo was...
Way back.
Yeah, 6 years later. This is Smart Patrol. I love this song. Oh, it's fucking... Oh, now they're going to like Secret Agent Man and stuff?
Oh my god, this video is a nightmare.
Yeah, really scary shit, bro.
Secret agent man.
Yeah.
Secret agent man.
And that's a cover.
Yeah.
Secret agent man.
It's really good stuff, Matt.
But they take away my...
Should we fuck off? All right, folks.
That was pretty good,
Matt,
Matt.
that was really good shit. How fucking far out?
You guys fucking nailed it.
No, you nailed it.
Yeah, you
to
did
the
nail it.
cross.
And back again.
Hey. All right.
The end is the beginning.
Yeah, it's really rich shit.
That's really good.
Oscar Kiss-Maerth.
God, what a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
They're spanking this woman on the ass with ping pong paddles.
Yeah, they get really...
I assume it's a woman.
The early Diva videos get really creepy.
Wow, that's very weird.
All right, I'm going to say goodnight. My name is John Fahey.
My name is Aaron Pita.
Mapper Soap.
Good night, everybody. We love you.
Secret agent man.
Scarpins Avenue.